Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Season 9 Goals entry draft. My name is Evan, aka Onni Eskola, one of your hosts for this evening. Joining me here is our producer, Chewie. How you doing, Chewie?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing pretty good. Got my waters for tonight.
Awesome. And another usual suspect with the co-hosting duties here is Squibs. How are you doing tonight, Squibs?
Good. I'm ready to get warmed up, make some puns, crack some jokes. Keep the things lighthearted. How are you, Evan?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Glad it's Friday. Glad we can get this draft going, see where these prospects end up. With that, I guess I'll put out a little welcome disclaimer, and then we'll throw the first team up on the clock. Obviously, a lot of you prospects are new here. This draft is completely done live on the show. So as picks are coming in, we're announcing them. This isn't any sort of pre-draft and then record type deal. So bear with us if we have any issues or delays. Also, just enjoy the draft night. You don't know how late or how early you might get picked. Doesn't really matter if you're a first round pick or the last pick of the draft. It's everybody will get picked if you're a skater, and two of the goalies will be selected as well. So just stay positive, enjoy it, and welcome in your new team when you get there. So with that, if you guys have nothing else to add, we can go ahead and throw the Rome Gladiators up on the clock for the first overall pick and start their 5-minute timer. So with that, like I mentioned, the Gladiators on the clock here. Squibs, obviously the first overall pick. They can go any number of directions. I guess one thing I didn't mention in the disclaimer is that majority of the players picked tonight are going to be playing in the minors again next season as affiliates. So this is one of those situations where even though they're first overall, they're not going to go pro right away, so they can really go any direction. Do you have any guesses which way they might head? Squibs?
They have quite a few affiliates as it stands, but they only have two defensemen affiliates, so I wouldn't be surprised if they went defenseman here. We've seen in previous drafts kind of a heavy run on defensemen early in the draft. Sometimes it happens at other points, but I wouldn't be surprised here if they went with a defenseman. Evan, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, there's obviously the whole draft board's wide open here. There's a lot of good defensemen in this class, some with some good progressions under their belt. And, like you said, defensemen in the past, we've seen runs on them early. It depends on the class and what teams are needing that year. But this definitely has some really good defensive prospects on the board here. There's not a whole lot of offensive defensemen, I've noticed, but there are quite a few two-way D, some defensive defensemen, a couple of offensive ones as well. So it'll be interesting to see which direction they head here.
This is also one of the more interesting drafts too, because we have a lot of second players made in this draft. So you not only do you have a bunch of new people in the league, you have a bunch of people who've been here for 8 seasons. So it'll be interesting to see if people kind of prioritize the reliability of someone that's been in the league for a long time, or someone who just joined the league but is kind of hyperactive joining the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you mentioned, there's that track record, right? Some of these people have been here 8 seasons, some of them 3, 4, 5 seasons. So there's definitely kind of a proven track record, a little less unknown with those types of players. And with that, we do have the pick in. Squibs, did you want to go ahead and read off the first overall selection?
Absolutely. With the first overall pick, the Rome Gladiators select right defenseman Alistair Red. Defensive defenseman, Evan, kick it to you. You want to talk about Red?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the chill go on the clock. So Alistair Red, this is, like Chewie mentioned, with a lot of second players in this draft. This is one of those. This is Mason Stonewall's second player. Stonewall just went to the Cup final as the goaltender for Vegas. Was traded to Boston this season, so I'm going to try to help Boston repeat. And yeah, it's definitely a one of those situations where it's somebody with a proven track record and it's a good build, a defensive defenseman, 6'1", 216 starting out. That's a pretty good build for a defenseman as far as starting overall goes. And then you obviously have some more time to develop in the minors being an affiliate. Yeah, did you have any further thoughts on Alistair Red there, Squibs?
Yeah. As Mason Stonewall's second player, we saw Stonewall have that super successful career there in Las Vegas, and it looks like he's probably going to round it out for the last 2 seasons of his career there in Boston. Cup champions, adding a very decorated goalie, but of course here with Red, we know that it's somebody who knows how to build a player, so. Red is very likely going to be a fantastic pick, but even a better defenseman.
Yeah, absolutely. A really nice pick there for Boston, for Rome, picking up Red. And with that, we have Columbus's selection. So I'll go ahead and announce the second overall pick in the Season 9 Gohls entry draft. Goes with number 2 is right winger Angel Armas. Going to the Columbus Chill. Squibs, any initial thoughts on the pick of Angel?
Real quick, we'll throw Copenhagen on the clock for the next 3 picks. But this pick was I feel like kind of written on the wall. For Nate and Columbus, it felt like it could be a godsend moment. That they were able to land Angel after trading up from the 17th pick. Yeah, I felt like this was pretty obvious where Nate was planning on going, and Nate paid 2 first to move up to be able to grab him. So hopefully, it pays off in the long run for Columbus.
Yeah, and Angel recently took a year off from playing in all hockey servers. They burned themselves out. But they're making their return to the sport by joining Gohls at the recommendation of a good friend. So, I mean, that friend might be Nate, because it sounds like they do know each other a little bit. So, yeah, not somebody to overlook here. And, they're willing to do what it takes to win. And, yeah, very active in the league, one of the more active players for sure. Yeah, definitely a nice pick there for the Chill. Yeah. Any thoughts on which way Copenhagen's going to go here with 3 picks in a row? Obviously they can go all different directions with all of them.
Yeah, I have a feeling that they'll grab some players who are creating their second player, or just created their second player. Of course, they have defenseman Eric Davis already on their roster, and with his player now in the draft, I have a pretty strong feeling that they'll be trying to grab him here. But yeah, I think they'll try to grab, a handful of these guys who've already been in the league because they're already proven. And so that would be my first assumption. But as Chewie is great at getting first round picks, having 3 of them in the top 5 is impressive as a team itself, and already knowing that they have a handful of first rounders for next season is great for them. Scary for the rest of the Europe division in the league, but yeah, that's how it goes when Chewie dominates the trade market.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, we actually have one of their 3 picks, so we might as well go ahead and announce that one. 3rd overall, they select center Grady Bedard. That's another, like you mentioned, you kind of alluded to that they might take somebody's second player. That's a second player. That's his first player was Bobby Turcolino, who was a member of drafted by the Norfolk Navigators, was a member of the Turku Finns for the last 5 seasons or so, and then was just traded back to the Navigators, actually. And Turcolino is the Finns' all-time leader in career hits as a Finn. Rarely misses progressions, always around, not always the most chatty in the locker room, but, very active, easy to get a hold of, and a really solid person here to pick. So not surprised to see them go in the top 3 here. What are your thoughts on the pick of Grady? And then if you want to go ahead and announce the 4th overall pick after that.
Yeah, great pick. As you mentioned already, Turcolino's been around for a while, so uh, Brady is just the continuation of him. Maybe with the second player and getting drafted by a different Europe team, maybe they'll finally make it past the first round of the playoffs. Not alluding to any certain team that they've played for a while,
No.
but yeah. So it's a great pick. A great sniper build. So yeah, I think it's somebody who's going to stick around Copenhagen for a while and help them. But yeah, with the 4th overall pick, Copenhagen Vikings select right defenseman Emma Black. Evan, you want to talk about Black while we wait for Copenhagen's final pick to come in?
Absolutely. So Emma Black, again, is another one of those second players. That one is Evan Effix's second player. So that's another player on Copenhagen. So they just picked up their second player. Excuse me. FX has over 200 points and is one of the offensive superstars in the league. So looking to start something new here with Black, but definitely a solid person to pick up here for the Copenhagen Vikings. And we kind of suggested that early in this draft there might be a lot of second players going, and already of the first 4, 3 of them have been second creates. So no surprise there. And then I'll just go ahead and announce the 5th overall pick and kind of round out, I think, what's the rest of Copenhagen's draft. And 5th overall, they selected center Eric Davis Jr. So again, that's now 4 of the first 5 are second players or second creative players for these active users. Eric Davis, obviously somebody who's on Copenhagen already. Grinder build, 5'10", 226. So definitely going to be a more physical forward on that end. Squibs, I know your team's on the clock, but did you have any thoughts, or are you too busy figuring out what you guys are doing?
Working on doing a little bit of both. I think this was another pick that was pretty clear that was going to happen. As I mentioned already, Eric Davis already on Copenhagen, so getting picked back up by him. So yeah, from a defensive defenseman to the grinder center, playing with that very kind of physical mentality as a physical player. So, but yeah, Evan, I will kick it over to you and ask for your thoughts on what we're going to do here with this pick.
Obviously, you guys like the big physical players, so I think you're just going to look for the heaviest guy in the draft and go get him, and then feed him some more, make him put on some more weight in the offseason. And no, but obviously can go any number of directions here. I mentioned earlier that majority of the players drafted are going to be going back to the minors. But so this is another one of those. The only ones that aren't are a forward to Albuquerque and the 2 goalies to Sapporo and Miami. Those ones will be going pro. Everybody else will be going back to the minors. But Chewie, I think if you have a moment now, did you want to go ahead and chime in on your 3 picks there, the direction you guys went, and how the draft's going so far?
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about my picks. I won't talk about them again later. So, obviously, we brought back a couple of our veterans right now in Eric Davis Jr. and Emma Black, or Evan Effix. Both great people, both expressed wanting to come back, so we were super excited to have some high picks to grab them. And obviously our 3rd overall pick, Grady Bedard, seeing that we have Effix retiring in 2 seasons, we have a sniper spot opening up in 2 seasons, and it kind of just made sense to go with a second player, because we know they won't they won't be able to be called up anyways for 2 seasons. So it kind of lines up perfectly for us. We'll see Grady in a couple seasons once FX retires, and I'm just super stoked to get all 3 of those players. But yeah, big shout out to Wicked as well, who did Copenhagen scouting this year. So I just wanted to give him a big shout out before we went on and say thank you to him. But other than that, I think we have the Florence pick to announce. And you know what, Squibs, since it's your pick, why don't you do the honors of saying the name that will be joining the Florence Firebirds affiliation?
Yeah, so I already apologize in advance that your owner likely will mispronounce your name. But with the 6th overall pick, the Florence Firebirds select Gaius Coffin, playmaking, right-wing playmaker. As we throw Glasgow onto the clock, Evan, you want to talk about Gaius and your thoughts on this pick?
Yeah, I think you did okay with the pronunciation. That's about as good as I would have done. Although I think you pronounced their name better than you pronounced Glasgow, but that's okay. This player, you didn't really go with the heavy player like I kind of joked you would. 5'11", 185, decent size here for a forward. Kind of right in that middle sweet zone. So, playmaking winger, right-handed shots. Definitely been a little active in the chat. I think they kind of joked a little bit that they were going to try to be quiet and not get noticed leading up to the draft. I think that was this player that was making those kinds of jokes. And when I was talking to some players before, he did proclaim himself as a bust. So you might have just ended up with a first round bust here, but no, I think he'll be a nice pick for you guys. And did you want to talk about why you made that selection, or maybe talk about what you think Glasgow might do with this pick?
Yeah, so I'll start with what kind of what made us go with Gaius there. We saw just how active he was, and just how much kind of banter and just the activity levels there. And being able to grab somebody to let him build up their player in the minors, who is that we already see is pretty active, bodes well for the future for us. And then as everybody knows, food, family, Florence. We've gotten some bigger players over the past couple of seasons. So, but you look at a guy like Michael Bryston, the third on our team, and you can see that he's a little bit smaller, 5'10", I think right around that 185 mark again. So we saw the value that Bryston can bring, and our team is getting a little older. So being able to kind of supplement those big guys with some smaller players mixed in is kind of where we went with that. But yeah, in terms of Glasgow, goodness, I am struggling with that name. Sorry,
Glasgow,
Justin.
or your player?
Glasgow. Yeah, no.
Glass cow?
Are
you saying glass cow?
That's basically what he's saying. Yeah.
I did say glass cow in a meme during a broadcast alert at one point. This offseason, Tyler Glasnow got traded from the Rays to the Los Angeles Dodgers in pro baseball. My phone struggles at figuring out if I'm talking about Glasgow or Glasnow. So
it's definitely the phone struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
autocorrect for sure. Verbal autocorrect.
Anyways, I have a feeling that they'll go defensemen. They have 3 forwards already as affiliates. And some of their defensemen have been around for a little bit. Kind of an older crew, really, outside of Enzo. Yeah, I'm starting off strong. And Stetson Jarrett. So, I think they'll be able to kind of find a future replacement for one of their veterans that is getting a little older.
Yeah, and that pick came in. We'll announce it in a sec. I was just going to point out that feeling a little left out here. I noticed 7 of the first 8 picks are all European teams, and Turku's the only one that doesn't have a first round pick. So,
and they can't get out of the first round. What are the odds?
Well, first round's been such a curse for us. We figure we just trade it all away and hope for the best. Can't really. We actually, just a little side note, there's not a single Turku first round pick still in our organization. So that's that goes to show we might as well just trade the picks away if they're not going to pan out. But with that, we've got the Glasgow pick is in. It's defenseman, enforcer, left defenseman, Sonny Jr. going to Glasgow. With that, we'll throw Rome up on the clock. Squibs, did you have any thoughts on Sonny Jr.?
Yeah, going from a small player with the previous pick to a substantially larger player, 6'7", 264-pound enforcer defenseman. A fantastic build. Is going to be a very hard hitter. They're definitely want to be somebody who will hate playing against because they'll be bone crushing. I know there will be a couple of Turku fans who, will be upset that they'll be getting hit all the time from them. So,
Just one.
Yeah, fair. So I think it's a great pick by Glasgow there. So, Evan, I'll kick it back to you as the Rome pick just came in. I'll let you announce that one.
Yeah, just really quick on Junior before we move on. I was going to say, you mentioned big hitter. They did lead the playoffs in hits in the minors this season. They're a McGinley Cup champion in their first season. Was part of the first minors reverse sweep in Gohls history, the third one overall. So congrats on that championship as well. With that, the Rome Gladiators have selected right winger Maverick Rivers. Squibs, I'll kick it to you for a sec here on Maverick as we throw Miami up on the clock, and then any thoughts on that pick?
Maverick was a fantastic pick. We were debating between him and Gaius there at 6. It's a fantastic pick, like I said, for Rome. They're getting another very active player. I believe somebody who had been in the league previously, took some time off, so that they're back and they're committed again. And they were committed before, just needed that time off, I believe. So, very active, which kind of seems to be Rome's trend over the few drafts that I've been helping out with is, Triple H is finding these very active players and being able to get them, and kind of build a very good system as they had 4 players on the all-rookie team this past season. So, I think the future is very bright in Rome. Evan, you want to talk about Rivers?
I want to talk about something real quick.
Yeah.
So we got a question for Evan in the chat. How many gifted subs for Evan to take a shot?
I don't have anything here to take a shot of.
Come on.
I haven't had a drink since April. I got nothing in the house.
Squibs, do you have something?
I have a lot of somethings.
All right. So how many gifted subs for you to take a shot? 5?
Let's go with 10.
10 gifted subs and Squibs takes a shot. There you go.
Which I can already imagine that the 10 is just about to roll in.
There you go. Instant 10 gifted subs.
That's
all right.
hilarious.
I'll be right back.
All right. Well, while you go, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Chewie, who was it that wanted me to take the shot?
Stone Grasp.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I feel like I owe him a good 1 or 2 long Stone calls from the raids he's done when I wasn't commentating, but we'll have to get him back with those in a bit. Anyway, back to Maverick Rivers. While we wait for Squibs, the Rome pick. Another one of those Pittsburgh players that just won the championship, the McGinley Cup, with the Lions. A self-proclaimed Star Wars nerd. Someone really wants to talk about Star Wars, which, my wife, I live with one, so I can definitely get that. Mentioned when I was talking to him last time, he was a surprise first rounder. Went earlier than he thought, and he was kind of hoping to replicate that this time, and sure enough, taken 8th overall. Actually, I think last time, I'll have to pull it up later, but I think he was the 7th overall pick last time, so right in that range. He was right around 7 or 8, I think. So similar spot where he got drafted last time. So congrats to him on being a first-round pick again. And with that, we've got the Miami pick. I'll go ahead and read that one off. And it is right defenseman Anthony Anderson going to the Miami Maccabees. This is another big frame here, 6'6", 230 pounds. Enforcer defenseman, right-handed shot. Wants to be an old school enforcer, always looking for an excuse to drop the gloves. In his own words, likes to drop the gloves and dance, and is hoping to be an anchor on a defense core to help a team have some success.
That's one big D if I ever seen one.
Yeah, that's I had to know that joke was coming out at some point. There's a few real big frames in this draft, so that joke was a matter of time for sure.
Oh, you've seen a lot of big D in the draft?
Yeah, lots of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doing your interviews, your pre-draft interviews in the showers, or what?
Yeah. Well, somebody said I should do the draft as a hot tub stream earlier, so I took that and did my draft interviews as a hot tub stream, and one thing leads to it. No.
Okay. Turn on
Anyway.
18 plus. All right, there we go. You may continue.
Yeah. Well, we probably had to turn that on anyways. Squibs going to. I don't know how long it takes to find a shot in his place, but maybe he's just hiding from having to take it because it happened sooner than he thought. He had to go to the liquor store and he'll be back.
Yeah, let me just turn.
He had to make a beer run. But anyway, with that, we'll go ahead and read off the Jacksonville selection. And they've taken left wing playmaker Chad Dull, 6'2", 205, right-handed shot. A lot of times those wingers playing on the left side will be right-handed and vice versa, the kind of the inverted wingers. So definitely a bonus there. Obviously, can play either side anyway, or center if Jacksonville so chooses. A nice pick there. Someone that I think is a little newer to the league. I don't know, Squibs. I don't know if Squibs is back ready to comment. Florence is on the clock actually. So
Florence is on the clock, and Doug redeemed a streamer shot as well. So Squibs, buddy.
What's a streamer shot go for nowadays?
500K.
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 Doug, what are you doing?
So the last time that I did some shots and around Evan, I was up in Minnesota, so I felt fitting that the Minnesota shot glass would be the one that breaks it out. I'm a man of the people, so I will let the person who gifted the 10 subs pick what I drink, as well as Doug with the streamer shot pick. I got tequila, cinnamon whiskey, or bourbon. So those will be one of the three that I'll drink. I'll let anybody, like I said, Doug and whoever did the 10 gifted subs make that pick.
I think Jess did the gifted subs. I think Jess gifted 30 subs already this stream. I just want to point.
Yeah, I know. I loaded up the Twitch before we started talking. I loaded it up and it was like just the whole chat was just flooded with gifted subs. So that was great to see. We appreciate the support that everybody shows with that type of stuff. So thanks, Jess, and anyone else who's throwing gifts around tonight or subs on a regular basis. Anyway, all right, Squibs, did you want to go ahead and announce your selection?
Yeah. So with the 11th overall pick, I think someday this player will be a rock star. And when that happens, they'll bring the league to the ground. With this pick, the Florence Firebirds select Betsy Nickelback, power forward center. Evan, you wanna talk about some Nickelback? You got probably the league's biggest fan here, so
yeah, fair enough. Albuquerque goes up on the clock here. This, if they take a forward here, that forward is the one going pro tonight, so keep an eye out for that. Betsy, naturally Florence had to take a big bodied player here at some point. 6'5", 245. Definitely a big physical, and one of the newer players as well, active in the chat since joining, one of the most active around lately. Any thoughts on the pick of Nickelback here, Chewie, if you have a moment?
No, I think it's a great pick. Someone who's pretty active for sure in the chats. From my talks with some other team owners before the draft, I heard he was high on a couple people's boards. So even if he went top 10, I wouldn't have been surprised. Um, and yeah, I mean, I believe Squibs also enjoyed this draft pick just for the puns. And yeah, I mean, great pick. Great pick.
Yeah, I pulled up the two mock drafts that have been posted in the last 24 hours, and one of them had him going 16th, and the other one had third round. So some variation there depending on what people were picking based on, and yeah, picking him up at 11 here, a nice solid selection.
Did Squibs take those shots yet? Did I miss that?
I know. I was waiting.
Okay,
I saw that Doug said bourbon. I've not seen what Jess said, so
Jess. Well, Stone said, "Do you have any Marlowe?" But let's do double bourbon.
Double bourbon. Oh Jesus.
Oh, Malort.
They were nice to you. That sounded like the nicest option of the three on you. So.
I mean, yeah, a nice little Four Roses single barrel. Yeah, definitely the best option.
Do you notice that Squibs has like an Albuquerque tie on right now? He looks exactly like the logo right above him.
This is a Hufflepuff tie.
Okay.
I will not take no further questions.
I was gonna say I was thinking Hufflepuff when I first saw it, but yeah, now with the logo right there, hard to deny. I think he's saying he wants to step down as owner and join the Pharaohs.
I mean, that's promoted. You never know.
Yeah, fair enough. So with that, now that Squibs, go ahead and take your shots.
That was like a glass, dude. That was impressive.
Well, you did the double. You did double at once. I was gonna say if you take the same one, you should have to do them both at once, and he did. So, props to him.
Yeah, Squibs is used to big things, that's for sure. So, I think we got a pick on the.
All right, yeah. We've got Albuquerque's selection. They went ahead and took right winger Joseph Delaney. So Joseph Delaney is the lone skater going pro out of this draft class immediately. So congrats to him and to the Pharaohs for getting him. With that, we throw the newly rebranded, relocated, new owner Calgary Knights up on the clock. So Delaney, like I said, going pro right away. Sniper winger, 5'11", 165. So on the lighter side for sure. Little funny story he shared with me was when he scored his first goal in the minors, he actually didn't find out for about 2 days. Worked a double shift that night, missed the game, and didn't check scores, didn't check stats, stayed out of the chats, avoiding spoilers, and watched the VOD about 2 days later and realized he scored and was pretty pumped, but disappointed he missed it live. So definitely a nice pick there for Albuquerque. That was one that I kind of flagged as somebody who could go pro right away, I think, as far as this draft class goes. So Squibs, any thoughts on the pickup of Delaney?
Yeah, great pick. Goodness. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, Evan. The brain went blank. The moment you asked. Yeah, so
I can talk. So, while Squibs finds where his brain went with the bourbon, yeah, Delaney actually was one of our big scouts this season for Copenhagen. Super great guy. Talked to him quite a bit, and he was on our draft board for sure to draft in the top 10, but he had the opportunity to join Albuquerque on the pro side, and I've heard also that he may be getting a staff role now that he's joined. So he respectfully asked if he could be passed up to get that opportunity, and I think good on him for being able to take the next step in his Gohls career already, and super excited to see him in Albuquerque and what he can do with Stig.
Absolutely. So with that, we've got the Calgary pick. Squibs, did you want to go ahead and read that name?
Absolutely. With the 13th overall pick, the Calgary Knights select right wing, left wing sniper Drake Davis. As we throw Rome on the clock for, I believe, their fourth pick draft. Evan, you want to talk about Drake Davis?
Yeah, right winger, sniper, 6'1", 215. He shared a little bit with me here that he fell in love with hockey at 11 years old after going to his first Capitals game in Washington. Kind of that's when his passion for the sport kind of started. I ended up finding the league through a friend. He's always been intrigued by sim gaming, so it was a natural fit with his love of hockey. Obviously, kind of, and I think as a kid, anytime you go to a live hockey game, it kind of ignites something in you. I remember going to Manitoba Moose games before we had an NHL team here. Going to some Moose games in the AHL and as a kid, and it really got my passion for the game going. So. Nice little story to hear where he kind of got that from, and looking to be a hardworking player, a team first type of player. So should be a nice pickup here for Calgary to put in their affiliation and then call up one day. And I think I could be wrong, but I think based on Discord usernames that he might be teammates with JT in the SFL or something along those lines. I don't know if one of you guys know that, but that's just an assumption off their
I believe,
usernames.
Yeah, I believe. JT is his owner in the SFL.
The Fleet, yeah. I think the Fleet, if I'm not mistaken. So nice to see them kind of reconnect, and congrats to Davis on being a first-round pick.
Yeah. We have. I was gonna say we have one of the owners that picked earlier, Potty, in the chat. Maybe while we wait for the next pick, Potty could talk about his 9th overall pick that he made in the draft.
Yeah, man, we're super excited for Anthony to come aboard the magnificent Miami Maccabee ship. Excuse me. Really great build. Potty, he's 6'6", 220, and Anthony's 6'6", 230, so a little bit heftier than, the power forward center on our team, but we are having high hopes for him. I know he wants to be an anchor for the team, and we only have the highest aspirations for him as well. It's difficult when you're comparing a lot of different people, but we thought that he had great conversations with Supreme. I'm not sure if Minion reached out to him, but we did see a lot of potential not only in his on-ice performance, but also in the chemistry and ability to build something greater than himself. So we felt pretty bought in to Anthony, and we're pretty excited to have him with our first round pick.
Yeah, awesome.
Sweet. Glad to hear that. And it sounds like he'll be a great fit within your organization. Good luck the rest of the way. Maybe we'll talk to you again in a little bit. You got quite a few picks in the first couple rounds here, so lots to talk about. All right, with that, we've got the Rome pick, number 14 overall. So I'll go ahead and read that one off. The Rome Gladiators, 14th overall, have selected left winger Randy Orton. Another super active person since joining the league a few days ago. Squibs, did you have any thoughts on the pick of Randy here?
Yeah, it's a great kind of a shout out name to the WWE superstar. So maybe there'll be quite a few hits, maybe some goals scored. I saw at one point he compared himself to Ovechkin today. So who knows how much he'll be scoring, but that's kind of what he's going for. With the sniper build. So yeah, a good pick by Rome. Somebody who's very active. Has talked a lot since joining. So yeah, not somebody that I would say I necessarily expected to come off the board this early, but a very fine pick by Rome. So Evan, back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always tough to gauge where people new to the server are going to land. Obviously, with it being mostly affiliates being picked, it's a little easier to take them early on because you don't need them to step into your pro lineup right away. So at that point, you're looking more for the activity, the personality, if you think you get along well, whatever the case is. Whereas you kind of have to focus a little bit more on the build side of things when you're going for somebody for your pro roster. Like kind of our earlier drafts was a lot of straight to pros, and now there's a lot more minor league affiliates, so you have time to develop, and you want that active person. And Randy's certainly proven to be active since joining, and nice pickup for Rome. And we know Rome prioritizes activity a lot too, like most teams do, but I know that's a big factor for them as well. Any thoughts on which way Honolulu is going here? Either of you want to jump in?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and jump in. They have two defensemen affiliates already, two forward defensemen two forward affiliates as well. So just based on numbers with 12 forwards and 6 defensemen, I could definitely see them going ahead and taking a forward here. Just kind of playing the numbers, playing the long game. But I could also see them grabbing somebody who is very active. So yeah, whoever that might be, I think Honolulu will have a very good pick here.
Yeah,
back to you.
Yeah, well, that pick, as you were talking, it just came in here. So with the 15th overall selection, the Honolulu Tropics have selected right-wing playmaker James Hogan of the Stockholm Stags. So Hogan, 5'11", 170. Really nice pickup here. Somebody that I kind of had my eye on. Obviously, I'm picking way too late to get anyone going right now, but somebody that, if we were picking a little earlier, we would have had high up on our board for sure. Very active, in a handful of other leagues as well. I believe he's in PFC right now. Maybe I don't think PXF, maybe. So yeah, definitely a nice active pickup here for Honolulu. Squibs, any thoughts on the Hogan pick as we throw Vegas up on the clock?
Yeah, as I was kind of mentioning, somebody that is a very active player. So I think, a very good pick or a very fantastic pick there by Honolulu. Hogan is a great player. He's as you mentioned, kind of a sim league veteran. So great pick there by Honolulu. Evan, where do you think Las Vegas is going to go with this pick?
It's tough to say. Doug tends to kind of go best player available, looking for a good build. Obviously, activity's huge. Depends on the conversations that he may or may not have had. But definitely looks for kind of the guys closer to being pro ready, and then tries to help them find a kind of a pro job. That's typically the way he goes about it. Might hang on to them and develop them a little longer for sure. But that we'll see. I think he'll take somebody kind of closer to the higher end of the overalls left, as opposed to somebody lower and more active.
I might be wrong, but this might be Las Vegas's first round pick in like 8 seasons.
Oh, you think so? Yeah, it's been a while. They do tend to trade their picks away as well.
Yeah.
We'll have to check. I'll have to check that later as well, to see when the last time they had a first round pick is, or how many they've had in the previous 8 drafts. Obviously the first one they had a first round pick. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how many other drafts they've picked in the first round of.
I'm gonna scroll really quick while you talk. I might be able to.
Okay, sounds good. Just going back to Hogan for a second. If I'm not mistaken, that's another Australian player right there. And Australia is, for the last number of seasons, it's been kind of on the bubble. Now it's probably taking over as the number 3 country in goals as far as players from there, whether it's real life or just where they say their players are from. Obviously, USA and Canada are the top 2 as far as population goes within goals, being a North America-based league. But definitely, seeing quite a few Australian players go here. There's a few vets like Shane Knox and Gerard Brody, for example. But since some of our members kind of crossed over into the rugby league, SRL, I think a lot more Australian players are starting to come over as there's a little bit more cross recruitment happening over there.
Yeah. So I did go back and check. In season 3, his last first round pick was Andrew Schiffer.
That's the last time you had a first round pick,
That's the
was
last
season
time
3.
Las Vegas had a first round pick was season 3.
Wow.
So pretty
It's like a
interesting fact.
defensive defenseman. Yeah. That's
And yeah, speaking of defensemen, I think the pick just came across the table.
yeah. Did you want to go ahead and read that, or you want to pass that to Squibs?
Yeah, I can go ahead. So, the 16th pick of the first round, the Las Vegas Sinners select Matt Hunter, two-way defenseman. And that'll put Norfolk on the clock.
You know who made it.
Yeah. Matt Hunter, like you said, a two-way defenseman. Kind of funny, the last time they made a first-round pick was also a defenseman. So we'll see if that trend continues, if they happen to have another first-round pick in the next 7 seasons or so. Matt Hunter lives about an hour north of Pittsburgh, so playing for the Lions is kind of like playing for a hometown team. Pretty active guy, 6'1", 201. Some of his favorite defensemen to watch and to root for are Chris Letang and Cale Makar. So if those are your role models, this could turn into a heck of a player here for the league down the road. Squibs, any thoughts on the pick of Hunter here?
Yeah, he put up great numbers in the minors with 7 assists this past season. They have great size and speed. Really kind of like a perfectly balanced, defenseman, kind of what you'd want out of a two-way defender, as they can be utilized on both sides of the ice. So, yeah, I think it's a fantastic pick here by Las Vegas. Wild that it's been their first-round pick since season 3. Yeah, I think this is somebody who's going to bode well. As we've mentioned already, some of these teams, especially some of the teams that have been around since the beginning, have some veterans that are kind of getting up there in age. We already know that, owner Doug is, claims to be the oldest man in the league. Outside of the league, but on the ice, his player is getting up there, close to retirement age. So, Hunter could be, a very perfect replacement for him. Evan, you want to talk about, what you might think Norfolk might do here?
Yeah, I talked to Sam quite a bit. I'm just trying to see if he's around. I know he had something going on right around the start of the draft, so he did give me a list of who he was looking at in case he's not around. So I'll give him a bit in case he is, but if not, I'll get that pick in. But yeah, he's somebody that typically, isn't going to over prioritize activity. He doesn't care necessarily about being super chatty and always around and engaging in conversation, but he does care about activity in the fact that, or in the way that progressing matters a lot to him. And I know that's the first thing he asks all the time, how many progressions did they miss, how many, stuff like that. So he doesn't look for the hyperactive people. That's not a disqualifier either, but he definitely prioritizes activity just in a different way, where he doesn't need you to be chatting in the locker room every day. He likes seeing people around, likes seeing people in the Twitch chat, watching his team and stuff. But definitely somebody who, is going to stick around, not miss progressions, even if they're on the quieter side. That's typically who he'll go for. Since I know I won't speculate too much beyond that, but Chewie, did you have any thoughts where you think Norfolk might take this pick?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, Sam has a specific way he likes to draft and the people he likes. In regards to his team needs, he has Bobby Turcolino now on defense, who's retiring in a couple seasons, as well as I believe Brian Lickett. So he might try to stock up that defense pool and just be prepared for down the road, which a lot of owners will probably start doing nowadays. So I'm gonna say maybe like an offensive defenseman, or a defensive defenseman would be my guess. He could even go with Brian Lickett's second player. I mean, keep it within the family, kind of thing.
Yeah, someone he knows, right? Like it's easier to trust someone that you know that isn't gonna disappear. If you trust them, you'll maybe you like their personality or trust them to make their progressions.
Yeah, just like a pure blood team. Keep it within the family.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Game of Thrones style.
Jack Whitehall, talking with Harry Styles in the interview. If you've not watched that clip, that's a very funny clip. Jack Whitehall, I believe a British comedian. Yeah, that's a funny little bit, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they went Lakey here, but already having two defenseman affiliates and only one forward affiliate, I also wouldn't be surprised if they went a forward affiliate here. But yeah, so multiple ways that Norfolk can go. But yeah, Lickett would I think make a lot of sense here, as well as then a forward, just based on numbers alone.
Yeah, for sure. And like you mentioned, or like like Chewie mentioned, they do have a couple defensemen coming out. I know it's on the screen, Chewie. I don't have that screen open though. They do have a couple defensemen coming up retirement in a couple seasons, so I could see them kind of stockpiling there. And with that, the pick is in, and it's at 17 overall. The Norfolk Navigators do, in fact, take Brian Lickett's second player, defenseman Richard Littlewood. Right D, two-way defenseman, left shot, real small, 5'7", 170, which is pretty undersized for a defenseman.
You could say that's a Littlewood.
Yeah, I guess you could. With that, we'll see the Vipers up on the clock as well. So Lickett's somebody who's active, very always around in different servers. Knows Sam pretty well. They get along pretty well. So that's it makes sense to take that pick and kind of help him watch his player develop for 2 seasons, maybe longer if needed, and then hopefully make an impact on the pro roster once his first player is gone. Any thoughts on where Jacksonville's going here, Squibs?
Goodness, I was expecting a question about Littlewood.
Yeah, let's talk about your Littlewood.
Yeah, seen it. No,
whoa! Heyo! I don't think you meant to say that.
I know that I blacked out in Minnesota, but I don't remember this.
It's because you got drunk and passed out. You have no idea what happened after that.
That's fair. No, talking about Richard real quick. I do think, it's kind of interesting. You see a guy like Triple H this past season play his defenseman as a forward and, perform really well by the numbers. But, if Littlewood here stays as a defenseman, it could become, slight of an issue for Norfolk in the long run. But I also wouldn't be surprised if Sam and Buck Wild get creative and put Littlewood there in the forward spot, play a bigger bodied forward there as defenseman if they're okay with it. So, but no, ultimately, I know Jacksonville, has very proudly never signed a free agent, doesn't really engage in trade activity too often. So, they're very much believer on building within. So I think they'll try to find somebody here who is pretty active, somebody who might kind of go under the radar, that they can develop into the next MVP, because Scurvy is great at unlocking player potential. So yeah, that's kind of what I think they're going to do, and I see that the pick has just come in. Evan, if you want to announce it.
Yeah, so with the 18th overall selection, the Jacksonville Vipers have selected right winger Memphis Sander. And that's going to throw Rome up on the clock. So, like you mentioned, Jacksonville builds from within. So anyone taken by Jacksonville, sometimes with teams that like to build from within, sometimes it can be a bit of a longer wait in the minors, but I think everybody's kind of at that stage right now. And it's usually not too long of a wait anyway. They like to promote when guys are ready. So Yeah, hopefully for their sake, Memphis Sander is able to kind of develop within their system and be a Viper in a season or 2 or 3 or whenever they're ready for him. 6'1", 200 pounds, left-handed sniper. All he had to say was that he's just thrilled for the experience of the draft. Really looking forward to it. So, congrats to him on being a first-round pick here as we're kind of nearing the end of the first. And seeing Rome on the clock for about the 500th time out of 750 picks they have tonight. Any thoughts on the Sander pick here, Chewie?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't do much scouting on Sander. Jacksonville does their due diligence, so I don't have any doubts about that pick. They did lose their top 5 pick from last season, actually, Velvet Dove, who was a defense. So maybe they kind of adjusted their scouting practices and went, obviously Memphis is a little newer to the league. So maybe they went with someone that is a little more active, but yeah, other than that, hopefully it's a good pick and it turns out for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, the Rome pick is in. Squibs, did you want to go ahead and read that one off?
Yeah, you could argue that this is a pretty hot pick. As Rome, thank you. As Rome selects left defenseman Pyro Kirkpatrick with the 19th pick. As we throw Miami on the clock for the 20th pick, Evan, you want to talk about Pyro and this flaming pick?
Yeah, so it's another situation of a super active player, kind of on the newer side, but did play in the minors a bit. Didn't register any points, I don't believe, but as a defenseman and only a limited number of games, that's not something to really, I guess, weigh too heavily. Definitely a pretty active person. Likes to kind of engage. A lot of the new people, I think, came in from Pyro or from places that he knows from before as well. So a lot of Rome's picks, I think, know each other. So it should be good for them building up their affiliate program. Kirkpatrick's a two-way defenseman, which is I like that archetype. I think it's a solid build. Right-handed shot, 6'3", 200 pounds. So some good size with him as well. We've seen some two-way D really dominate at times in this league, and I think that archetype has a lot of potential for sure. So hopefully for Rome's sake, he's able to develop it and become something special for the Gladiators down the line. Chewie, did you have any final thoughts on Pyro, and then if you wanted to go ahead and announce the Miami pick, if you'd like?
Yeah, no other thoughts. But I can announce that pick. We know Miami loves their D, and they decide to go with right D Vincenzo Marino for the last pick of the first round. So while you guys talk about that pick, why don't we do a little recap of round 1? And I got to get set up for round 2.
Yeah, for sure. I'll touch on Marino here a little bit, and then I'll go ahead and read off the first round recap and let you kind of get your ticker set up, which, by the way, if anyone hasn't noticed, or well, I'm sure they've noticed, but we do have a ticker at the bottom of the screen for the first time in Gohls draft history. So huge shout out to Chewie and all those that helped him get that going as well. So Vincenzo Marino, one of the few offensive defensemen builds in this draft, a little on the lighter side, 5'11", 173, right-handed shot. And a little tidbit, he did promise to make fresh pasta for his teammates before each game. So, that's a nice little bonus with the pick. You're getting some pasta dinners as well on Marino. All right, so first round in the books here. The first 20 picks went as follows. Rome took defenseman Alistair Red. Then Columbus takes Angel Armas. Copenhagen grabs Grady Bedard, Emma Black, and Eric Davis Jr. in 3 consecutive picks. Florence takes Gaius Carlton. Glasgow selects Sonny Jr. Rome back on the clock to take Maverick Rivers. Then Miami goes with Anthony Anderson. Jacksonville grabs a winger in Chad Dull. Florence, for their second pick of the draft, takes Betsy Nickelback. Albuquerque goes ahead and gets the only skater going pro from this draft class, and that's Joseph Delaney. Calgary at number 13 selects winger Drake Davis. Rome grabs Randy Orton. Honolulu takes right winger James Hogan. Las Vegas went with a defenseman, and their first pick in a handful of seasons takes Matt Hunter. Norfolk with Richard Littlewood. Jacksonville grabs Memphis Sander. Rome with Pyro Kirkpatrick. And then the pick we just saw was Miami taking Vincenzo Marino. Squibs, any thoughts on either the Marino pick or the first round in general, or anything else you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, Marino led prospect defenseman in points. Shifty, quick defender. Reminded me a little bit of, kind of a Quinn Hughes, who's having a fantastic season this season. There'll be a power play threat here in the future. It's a great addition. And I can never say no to somebody adding or somebody offering pasta. I had that for dinner tonight. Pasta's a way to people's hearts and way to get drafted. So props to Marino here. Very fitting that they play for Miami, considering Dan Marino had found a lot of success for the Miami Dolphins. So different sport, I know, but nonetheless, maybe they'll get a lot of love for that last name. But overall, the first round, I think went, a little as expected. You had some players who created their second position getting drafted up, whether that was by teams that they already play for or teams that, kind of prioritize, that past experience, as well as, newer and active players, something that we've seen in almost every draft at this point. People that are active, people that are talking a lot, do tend to, get drafted a little bit higher than maybe, somebody based, who might be a little higher overall. So, I do think that, activity level plays a huge part, because you're able to see, just how much they're, participating in the league, and, if they're enjoying it, that they're going to stick around for a while. And, at the same time, somebody who, might not talk a lot, who will get drafted later. I know that Evan can speak about that aspect with David Hume. Somebody who didn't stand out exactly as a prospect, but got drafted a little bit later in the draft and turned out to be a pretty good player. So, Evan, I'll throw it back to you, though. Throw it back to you now.
Yeah, Hume was a fifth-round pick. The draft was a little shorter back then. Wasn't 20 teams, but was a fifth-round pick. Won the Solani Trophy, and has helped us lose in the first round a handful of times since. Like I said off the hop, like late picks, whether you're picked late, whether you're picked early, there's really no benefit or any lost experience there. Obviously, it's fun to hear your name called early and be a first round pick, but late round picks have gone a number of times on to be rather successful players. So, dating all the way back to our startup, we had some 10th, 11th, 12th round picks in the startup that became some of the best players in the league, and still seeing it nowadays with all these late round picks still having a chance to hit. But here we are now as we start the second round, and North Bay has made their selection. It is right winger, power forward, Daniel Hellier going to the Mallards, and that's going to throw Rome on the clock again. Any thoughts on the selection of Hellier, Squibs?
Yeah, another really big player, 6'6", 210 pounds, a power forward. I'm very high in power forwards. I'm a power forward myself. My other two co-owners with me, Guy and Trevor, both power forwards. So, Florence, power forward city. Power forwards are, a fantastic build. A bigger body player, somebody who's been around since week one. And there's not a ton of those in this draft. So, I think that bodes well for him. And, power forwards definitely take some time to build up. But when, they get to that kind of level, they're able to achieve really well. as we're able to see with the guys in Florence, but also Brett Solberg, and some of the other power forwards around the league, Jonathan Pendlebury there and Turku Evan. So yeah, no, I think it was a fantastic pick. I'll kick it back to you though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Power forward is a nice build. It's I'm already starting to think about my second player. And power forward is an archetype I might consider as well. There's a couple options I'm looking at for my next player when the time comes. Still a few seasons away from making that decision, I think. But yeah, definitely a nice build. With that, we're up to Rome's second pick of the second round, the second pick of the second round. Rome has selected left defenseman Tim Robinson. Robinson came over from the SHL, part of, I guess, a handful of players that came over from there. And he's obsessed with the show I Think You Should Leave, and that's why he uses those GIFs a lot. According to him, anyway, he really enjoys that show. So there's a little fact about his kind of interests. And yeah, beyond that, any thoughts on this selection here as we throw Vegas back on the clock, Squibs?
I just learned about that show today, actually.
When he said he was obsessed with it, I was like, "Are you telling me I should leave?" Or yeah, I didn't know too much about that show either.
Yeah, it was the first time hearing about it. But no, defenseman build, two-way defenseman, as we've kind of picked up on a little bit later in the league. Two-way defensemen have a very solid build, very solid foundation. And they're able to they start off a little bit lower than maybe some other defenseman builds, but over the course of their career, I think that they kind of really balance out. And of course, balance is what they're going for, being able to be good at offense and defense. Yeah, I could expect somebody who sends memes a lot and jokes around and in chats. Ultimately, I think it's a great locker room addition, which seems to be the trend for Rome.
Yeah, absolutely. Chewie, any thoughts where you think Vegas is going to take this?
Honestly, no. Oh shoot! I just closed my notes. Leave me alone.
Well done.
All right. So for Vegas, I do think they go with a forward here. I think Doug's gonna go for a second player. I can't remember who he drafted in the first round right now, but
Matt Hunter.
Matt Hunter.
Defenseman
Oh, so he
Matt
didn't.
Hunter.
So he didn't go a second player at the first, but I think he probably plays it safe here with this pick. There's a lot of good players left on the board, so he has a lot of opportunity here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I could definitely see going with a second pick or second player. I don't think there's too many of those left either. I know there's still a handful, but a lot of them went in the first round. And yeah, we'll see which way he goes here. Probably in conversation right now with his co-owner, trying to figure out which direction to go. Yeah, well, while we have a bit of time, might as well give a quick shout out. I should have done it off the top, but congratulations to the Boston Buccaneers on winning the Gretzky Cup for the first time in their team's history as the pro champions. Last year made a deep run in the playoffs as well, but fell short. And then but before that, they had actually finished dead last in the league a couple times, and were near the bottom another season or two after that, before really exploding towards the top of the league and competing for their division title. So congrats to them, and then congratulations as well to the Pittsburgh Lions for winning the McGinley Cup, for winning the minor league championship. And as I mentioned earlier, when somebody was picked from them, completing the first reverse sweep in Gohls minors history, and the third one that Gohls has seen all time. So congrats to those two teams. Sounds like we might have a trade here. Squibs, did you want to maybe talk about either one of those teams winning the championship or anything beyond that?
No, Boston this past season surprised me a little bit. They were right there near the top last season, well, season 7 that is. And seemed to underperform a little bit based on their previous success. But when the playoffs started, they kind of flipped a switch and really kind of took control. Going up 2-0 on him as Florence this past season. I felt like I was in a good spot, and game 3 they kicked our butts. And then games 4, 5, and 6, we lost by a goal in all of them. So Boston really did well, and then really went on and took on the team that won their division to advance, and then take on the best team from the other conference, to be able to win that. And and RJ and Corker's, I believe, second year as a coach, they're an owner for Boston, so very impressive. I know that they reverse swept Turku in the playoffs the previous season. That was kind of very unexpected. So Evan, I'll throw it back to you now. Talk about this trade maybe.
Yeah, we've got a trade to announce. That's what the delay with this Vegas pick was, and it is North Bay receiving the second round third pick. In exchange, Vegas will get the 13th pick of the second round and the first pick of the third round. And that throws North Bay on the clock. And the pick is already in. Squibs, did you want to go ahead and announce that while I reflect the trade on the draft board here?
Absolutely. So with the third pick of the second round, the North Bay Mallards fly in and swoop right winger Robbie Arver, power forward, played for Toronto this past season. So as we talk about Arver, we'll go ahead and throw Miami on the clock. Evan, are you able to talk about Arver yet, or are you still a little tied up with the draft board?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I can talk about him for sure. So yeah, obviously anytime you trade up for a player, especially when the pick's on the clock, you trade up and submit the pick right away. You know that player is kind of I think it makes that player feel wanted for sure, because you move up, you get him. Obviously, you probably thought he was going a little earlier, or maybe couldn't decide 2 picks earlier between him and Hellier, and now North Bay gets them both. As far as the trade cost, it's not an absurd cost to move up. I think it's a good trade for both teams. Vegas picks up a couple more decent picks here in a good range, but North Bay goes ahead and gets their guy. So good work there for both teams. Robbie Arver, he's got a lot of heart, some grit, and some of his idols are Mark Messier, Bob Probert, and Dustin Bufflin. So some greats there. Obviously, Bufflin's very known for his physicality. Living in Winnipeg, I still see pictures of him manhandling a couple of Nashville Predators in the playoffs, having each of them by the shoulder of their jersey and dragging them around. So, when you got a 6'4", 240-pound power forward, 245 power forward, saying he wants to idolize Dustin Bufflin, that's you're looking at a real physical type of build there. So nice pickup for North Bay. Chewie, did you have any thoughts on that pick or the trade or anything in between?
I don't right now. Just working on a trade for myself. So
okay, fair enough. So absolutely. We might as well go ahead and announce the Miami pick then. Squibs, did you want to take that one?
Absolutely. So with the 4th overall pick of the second round, Miami selects defenseman Devin Rudisell, which now puts Norfolk Navigators on the clock. Evan, you want to talk about Rudisell?
Yeah, absolutely. So Devin Rudisell, I believe, is the only player in the draft class with the dual position. Saved up through the weeks to get the bonus. So that's obviously, you like to see that. Offensive defenseman, 6'3", 218, right-handed shot. So you'll have to see it. Obviously, with the dual position, like you can play both anyway. You don't need right D to be able to play right D, for example. But it does come with a boost in our league as far as attributes go if you save up and get that second position. So nice to see a player coming into the draft. Was already moved up high on my board before even talking to people because of that. Because they already have that boost. You don't have to worry about them spinning progressions after you've acquired them to kind of increase their boost that way. And with that, we've got a couple of trades here.
No, I think just one. The other one popped up from earlier.
I've got a Norfolk and Florence trade here.
Yeah, just the one trade. That's it.
Just that one? Okay, gotcha. So with that, we've got the Florence Firebirds sending their Season 10 first-round pick, and in exchange, Norfolk is going to give them the current on-the-clock pick, second round, fifth pick, and the fifth pick of the third round in that draft as well, or in this current draft. So with that, Florence is going to go on the clock, and Norfolk is going to trade out. I guess Squibs is probably busy now dealing with that. Chewie, are you freed up from your trade yet or not?
Yeah, let's go. What's the question?
I guess what do you think of that trade, or where do you think Florence is going to take this pick?
Yeah. So they traded a first for a second and a third. So obviously they value this person high who just was available, and curious to see what they do. It seems like firsts are so valuable before the draft, and then I don't know, firsts are not as valuable before the draft, and then during the draft they skyrocket into this, and I have no idea what I'm saying right now. But
yeah, no, it makes sense though. During the draft and leading up to the draft, there's always that fever, right? That desire to be involved and make trades or make draft picks, and so you do see draft picks kind of gain in value closer to a draft or during it, and you see those of you who know who Brian Burke is, NHL executive for a handful of teams throughout his career. He's been quoted as saying, I think it was back in his days with Calgary or Vancouver a long time ago, he had a quote that the 2 days that GMs make the biggest mistakes are trade deadline day and draft day. And it's because you see it in real life, you see it in the sim leagues when the trade deadline's coming up, everybody wants to make trades, or they're making desperate moves to add a piece for the playoff run, or selling a piece for draft picks and stuff. And whenever there's a impending deadline, you see people kind of make bigger moves or whatever. And I think you see that with the draft. Not saying any of these trades are mistakes or any of these picks are mistakes, but you just see a little bit more activity and a little bit more value placed on stuff when it's closer to kind of the expiry of that asset. I don't know if that made sense or if that's kind of the direction you were heading with it, but Squibs, I feel like you've probably got a pun in mind for this pick. Did you want to go ahead and announce the Florence Firebirds 25th overall pick?
Yeah, I think it's time to dance a little. With the 5th overall pick in the second round, the Florence Firebirds select center Boogie Warden. Evan, you want to talk about Warden while we throw, Alaska now on the clock?
Yeah, Alaska, and oops, that's not at all where I meant to pick that. Yeah, so the Alaska Arctic Wolves go up on the clock. Boogie Warden, that's another one of those second player creates. That's Leighton Lee's second player, going at number 25 to the Florence Firebirds. 6'1", 198, playmaking center, right-handed shot. Playmaking. Playmaker's a really good archetype to start as a center. I think you get the boost in the face-offs compared to a sniper, for example. So it's a nice kind of build to start out with, and obviously not needing to go pro right away is going to give him some time to develop while his second player kind of finishes out his career. Yeah, Chewie, did you have any thoughts on that at all, or you want to move on to
Nope.
the Alaska pick?
No, sorry, I'm still trading.
Okay, no worries. So moving on then, we'll go ahead and announce the 6th pick of the second round. It is Alaska Arctic Wolves selecting right winger Chris Clark. And with that, the Glasgow Blackwatch up on the clock. So Chris Clark, 6'1", 180-pound left-handed right winger. Playmaking build. Wants to be kind of a defensive forward type style. Said he's going Selkie hunting in our league. That's the Bergeron Trophy because Bergeron's won the Selkie 1,000 times. Wants to be kind of a penalty killer with some good hands as well. Is kind of the player archetype he's shooting for. Yeah, we see the value as owners in penalty killing for sure. It's something that it's nice to see when a player wants to be a defensive forward because that means they're usually okay, killing penalties, being lower in the lineup, not necessarily going for those high glamour goal scoring type seasons, which obviously are fun. Nothing wrong with going for those, but yeah, it's nice to see different types of players kind of emerging. Squibs, did you have any thoughts on the pick of Chris Clark, or did you want to talk more about your boogie pick?
Yeah, real quick, I think part of what makes draft day trades or like picks a little bit more valuable is you're able to see like what your draft board looks like, and you're able to kind of see, oh hey, this player's fallen, and we're able to make this deal here, maybe give up, something that we initially didn't want to, we wanted to hold on to our first, and when we saw that Boogie was available there, I know that we pushed to make that happen. So I get that kind of sense, kind of across the board for a handful of teams is that they see a guy that they had pretty high on their board, still available at a spot where they thought they should already be gone. They're able to kind of make a trade for that. So grabbing a guy like Leighton Lee there, is fantastic. Obviously we traded up for it, so we're big fans. But in terms of Chris Clark, I Squibs, of course, my player, this past season won the Bergeron for the first time in his career. Early on in goals, there was kind of that like lull period in terms of awards where you had some really good defensive forwards and really good offensive defensemen that weren't really getting recognized in the top forward or top defenseman awards. So, creating these awards that, value the jobs that people, aren't really expected of in their role, at least on paper, kind of values them a little bit more. And, as you've mentioned already, like, having somebody who is willing to, be on the penalty kill and, play a little bit lower in line. It's such an undervalued asset to a team. In all honesty, like penalty kills can, sometimes make or break whether you win games or not. And so, having somebody who's eager to play there and willing to, I think is a huge advantage to any team. And of course, Alaska's able to get somebody like that, and they have a history of getting people who are willing to do something that maybe not everybody wants to, and I think that's boded well considering they have 2 championships to their name so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris Clark, aside from that sort of mindset, was also one of the higher overall players in the draft, I think, at around 60 overall, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely, somebody who, if Alaska needs him sooner than later, that's not off the table either. So with that, it sounds like we're waiting for it to get sorted out, but sounds like this pick might be getting traded as well. Squibs, did you have any thoughts on which way? Well, I guess not knowing which team might get it, but what Glasgow might look to do if they were picking here, or what an incoming team might be looking for if somebody's trading up for someone.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just call him the Black Watch and avoid calling him by the city name because clearly I can't pronounce it. If it does stay with the Black Watch, they took a defenseman earlier in this draft. I could easily see them grabbing a forward here, to just have some balance in the draft. But at the same time, I could easily see them trading it. And, like I had talked about already with the Boogie trade, you might be seeing, somebody on the board that shouldn't be really at this point, and you're able to trade and go and get them, for something that you're okay with parting. And I wouldn't be surprised if a team that is trading for this pick is going to go and try to go ahead and grab one of those guys.
All right, there has been a trade. If one of you guys want to announce it.
Yeah, is it fully approved now?
Yeah, it's approved.
All right, so Copenhagen receives the current on the clock pick and a conditional second round pick in season 10's draft. In exchange, Glasgow receives Columbus's season 10 first round pick, which Copenhagen previously owned. So basically the seventh pick of the second round and a second next year for next year's first. And with that, we'll see Copenhagen up on the clock.
Yeah, and the pick's been submitted because the timer's done.
And the pick is in. I don't have that open, though. Do one of you guys want to read off that name?
Yep, I think Squibs is gone, so I'll read out the pick. With the 7th overall pick in the second round, the Copenhagen Vikings select sniper Colby Cruz to the team. And that will put Rome on the clock. And we will actually have another trade to announce once that goes through.
Wonderful. Colby Cruz, real quick here, 6 foot, 200 pounds, sniper. That's another. I don't have it written down here, but I'm pretty sure that's another second. Player, right? Money Mills. Yeah. Money Mills, second player. So, nice pickup here. Did you want to talk about that selection of Mills, or are you involved in that trade you were talking about?
No. I'll talk about it a little bit. The other trade's just getting approved now, and it doesn't affect this pick anyways, so that could be delayed a little bit. But
sweet.
Yeah, so we traded obviously its first next year to get in Colby Cruz. We saw another sniper was on the board, second player. I didn't interact with Money Mills too much, and we didn't do too much scouting, but interacting with him through the seasons, we just knew that would be a good pick and worth trading up for. And I think we traded with Glasgow. They got a pretty good deal. They got a first next season, and we got a couple seconds, so we're happy with that.
Yeah, another trade that kind of benefits both sides. Glasgow picks up a first, which is obviously always valuable. And then obviously you guys get to jump up and get your guy. So with that, we've got the trade details, but we've also got a pick. So let's go ahead and announce the pick first, since the trade doesn't affect the next couple picks here.
Sounds good.
So the Rome pick here, number 28 overall, is going to be Mikhail Becker, center. That, if I'm not mistaken, is another second player. One of the Alaska guys, isn't it? Chris Lee.
Oh, Chris Lee. Yes.
I believe that's Chris Lee's second player. Mikhail Becker, 6'1", 198, playmaking center. Just looking to kind of retire and change the build, change the role. One of our original league members, just looking for a new challenge, in his own words, kind of.
Yeah.
So
he went from a sniper to a playmaker too, which was cool to see. So changing up his, I guess his desires in the league for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And once you've kind of gone through with a first player, you kind of learn maybe what you like or didn't like, or you think of different ways to build somebody that you think might be more effective. Obviously, we'll never know until seasons down the line, seeing how the career pans out. But yeah, just having that experience and trying something different is good to see. I kind of expect a lot of second players once the masses start retiring and recreating. I think we're going to see a lot of kind of clones, where people try to recreate their first player if they had a good career, and it's nice to see somebody try something different for sure. Okay, so that one put Miami on the clock, and their pick is in. Are we ready to announce that one as well?
Yeah, let's do it. I can announce this one. So,
Okay.
Miami with the ninth pick in the second round, they select Rory Morgan to the squad. And that will put the Tennessee Black Bears on the clock. And Squibs, welcome back. You just showed up just in time for a streamer shot.
All right.
You know who made it.
Yay. What am I taking?
Dealer's choice on that one. So
Who
you're-
redeemed it?
you're-
Who's the dealer?
You are. You're the dealer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, dealer's choice means you. Yeah, who redeemed that one?
I did.
Oh, nice. Fair enough.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, so we got anyway the Rory Morgan pick here for Miami at 29 overall, 6'1", 193-pound playmaker, center build, scored 10 points with Prague this season. Yeah, just a nice quality pick here this late. Almost 30 picks in, and finding a real nice piece to add to the forward core here. Chewie or Squibs, any thoughts on Morgan before we announce the next ones?
For myself, again, not someone that I kept an eye on. He is someone that's been in the league for just over half a season. Playmaker joined in week 4, played for Prague, so definitely great team, great build as well as a playmaking center, and Miami's building a young squad, and I think that's going to be a great pick for them.
Absolutely. All right, so with that, I'm going to get that trade announcement out of the way here, just to make sure we don't push it off too far here. So it affects a pick coming up, not quite on the clock yet, but very soon. Vegas is going to receive the 16th pick of the second round and the 13th pick of the third round. In exchange, Calgary receives the 13th pick of the second round. So that's the trade we saw a few minutes ago, and it's going to put Calgary on the clock a little bit sooner than they would have otherwise, but still have a few picks before that comes up here.
Is this the most trades we've had during a draft in a long time?
In a while, yeah. Like I remember the first one I hosted or the second one I hosted had quite a few. This is my 7th draft hosting, and I remember the first or second one that I did had quite a few, but I don't know if it was even this many. But in recent seasons, we usually see 1, 2, maybe 3. I feel like the season 4 draft might have had a lot, but this is definitely up there. Quite a few trades coming through. Yeah. So with that, Chewie, did you want to announce the Tennessee pick?
Yeah, the Tennessee pick comes in with Hunter McWaffle, sniper right wing, for the 10th pick in the second round. So I believe that is Winkler's second player. The Chris Lee Winkler combo finally separated, and Krieg loses his 2-star players in a couple seasons. So sorry, Krieg, but excited to see how Chris and Winkler do on their new squads in the coming seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we mentioned, those second players are going to have a little bit more value because you've got that proven track record of being in the league and progressing and kind of that interest level. You're not like a new player, which a lot of new players obviously come in, get drafted, and turn into these guys that have been around for a while. But it's nice when you're drafting to know that this person's been around, they've got the interest, they're going around for a second go of it. So a nice pickup of Waffle there. 6'3", 215 sniper, a decent size there. I believe Winkler was a playmaker, so maybe Lee and Winkler just kind of flipped roles here.
Looks like they flipped.
Yeah, so that's an interesting little Easter egg there as well. So with that, Vegas on the clock for the 11th pick of the second round. And that picks in as we're a couple behind here. Squibs, did you want to go ahead and announce the Vegas pick?
Yeah, with the Vegas pick, the Las Vegas Centers select left wing sniper Nick Frame with the 11th pick here in the second round, which puts Calgary Knights on the clock for 2 picks. Evan, you want to talk about
Did you take your
Nick
shot
Frame?
yet?
Well, I get ready to go ahead and pour or take a drink of my cinnamon whiskey that I got from Tennessee right after the Tennessee pick. Drink in, so it felt like a perfect timing to go ahead and switch things up a little bit. So
Perfect.
here's to the chat. Here's to us.
Very nice.
Evan,
So Nick Frame, like you mentioned, left wing sniper, left-handed, 6'2", 210, good size build. He found the league scrolling Facebook and saw an ad that I guess probably Beavis had posted in an NHL like franchise group on Facebook. So that's how he found us. Sees himself as a team player, somebody who can lead a team one day, and hopefully have some success doing that. Any thoughts on the pick of Frame here, or want to go ahead and announce the next pick? Chewie or Squibs, either one.
Go ahead, Squibs.
all right. So with the next pick, I'll go ahead and transition there. The Calgary Knights select taking a gamble here. Left wing playmaker Keegan Gamble with the 12th pick, which will leave Calgary still on the clock with the 13th pick to possibly work a little bit of magic. So, Evan, you want to talk about Gamble real quick while we're waiting for Calgary's next pick?
Yeah, absolutely. Gamble. I reached out to not every prospect, but majority of the prospects that I had time to reach out to kind of get a vibe for, just to get some stuff to say about them. And Gamble actually had quite a bit. So I learned that he's actually a triplet in real life, which those are pretty rare. So that was kind of an interesting tidbit. He's the oldest of the three by 1 minute over his second oldest sibling. He's got a dog that's in a wheelchair. He's posted some pictures of it in the Pets channel if you want to check that out. His player is small and quick, but still going to be feisty and aggressive, or at least that's his hope. And last little tidbit here is possibly a dream come true for him. Born and raised in Calgary and is picked up by the Calgary Knights here in the draft. So congrats to him, picked by the hometown team, and going number 12 in the second round, 32 overall. Any thoughts or anything to add on the Gamble pick there, Chewie?
Yeah, great, solid pick by Calgary. I think that was that the one they traded for, or I guess the next pick is the one they traded for. So it seems like they might be getting 2 players that they really wanted, and you can never fault a team for getting the picks that they want, and I think their pick is ready to be announced as well.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and announce this one. It's left defenseman Abrick Magic, 2-way defenseman, 6'3", 207. Sees himself as the steal of the draft, which is a term we normally pull out a lot earlier than this. And we haven't yet, but that's Magic's own words. Thinks he'll be a steal and a future star defenseman for, I guess, the Calgary Knights now that they have selected him. Any thoughts on the pickup of Magic here, Squibs?
Yeah, it's kind of like pulling a rabbit out of the hat. Sorry, couldn't pass up on.
Oh, that was funny.
Can't pass up.
Wah.
Womp womp.
I'm not a playmaker. Anyways, yeah, a two-way defenseman. He's been around the league for a little bit. I think this is third player that he's created. So he's probably looking get some revenge. On some of the players who went ahead of him already. Fairly decent in size, 6'3", 207 pounds. So yeah, you definitely know that he's gonna do well. He's already got kind of an idea of the league. So, Evan, I just saw that Albuquerque's pick came in. Would you like to announce it?
Yeah, absolutely. Right defenseman Elliot McDonald going to Albuquerque. 6'3", 210. Moved from Scotland to a small town in BC, Canada as a kid. Introduced to hockey at the age of 13. Grew up playing rugby and soccer, so probably going to try to transition some of that physicality over to the ice. With that size of 6'4" or 6'3", 210, got some good size to him there. Two-way defenseman, so some real nice size there. And yeah, with that rugby background, I'm going to try to be, I guess, on the physical side. And now the 34th overall pick. Any thoughts on the pickup of McDonald there, Chewie?
Yeah, great. I mean, at this point, Albuquerque's filling up their affiliate system. They didn't have any affiliates going into this draft, so getting a guy like Elliott in the second round is solid for them. Someone that could be in their pipeline and be on the pro roster, in the near future. So great pick for sure for them.
Absolutely. Looks like the Columbus pick is in. Squibs, did you want to go ahead and announce that?
Yeah, it might not be the star of Pokemon, but he is a center now for Columbus nonetheless. Playmaker Ash Boyd, getting drafted here by Columbus, which now puts Las Vegas on the clock. Evan, you want to talk about Ash Boyd?
Already got an 80 overall or 80 face-off rating, 58 overall, but getting that face-off up to 80 as a prospect is pretty solid. 7 points in the minors this past season. Playing on a struggling team there. Zurich didn't have the best season. I'm sure they'll look to bounce back next season. Well, all new rosters, so we'll see. But Ash is somebody that's ready to play whenever for whoever. Probably pretty happy to hear his name come off the board now and become a member of the Columbus Chill, an organization that is on the newer side, but, has a couple seasons under their belt now and made a deep playoff run this year, going to the conference championship. One of the deeper runs we've seen from a new affiliate or a new expansion team in recent season, or I guess in league history. We haven't had an expansion now in a few seasons, but they're part of the latest batch and, made a real deep run here, running into Vegas before being bounced. Any thoughts on the pickup of Ash Boyd or where you think Vegas is going to be taking this pick here, Squibs?
Yeah, I do think it's interesting. This is now the 7th forward taken by Nate and Columbus. And they have 3 defensemen already in their affiliate program, so they now have half of their pro squad in defensemen and over half in their forward affiliates. So I do think that it could be interesting to see maybe exactly how they plan on utilizing everybody in the coming seasons. Whether that be trade or promotion or whatnot. I do think that there is a lot of room for Columbus, as an expansion team 2 seasons ago, making the playoffs the last 2 seasons. Impressive nonetheless, but being able to build a pro team that's able to make the playoffs, but then also having an affiliate system that's 10 players deep, over half the size of your pro roster, is also very impressive. And I think this bodes well not only for Columbus in the short term but in the long term. So with Vegas though, I think there's a magnitude of ways that they can go. Went defenseman in the first round, went forward in the second round. And looking at their pro roster right now, they have two forwards and a defenseman affiliate, not including the ones already drafted. So based on just looking at their team and seeing that Castle and Britton are both season one veterans and Fat Hammer is a season two veteran, I wouldn't be surprised if they went ahead and grabbed another defenseman here. But at the same time, there is a couple of season one veterans on the forward spots. So same time, it is really hard to predict exactly where a team is going to go. Based on just what they have and who's kind of getting older, but knowing Doug, and his love for defense, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes with the defenseman, kind of building that replacement system for him, Castle, and Fat Hammer in the future.
Yeah, and obviously experiencing the drop off, or going to experience the drop off of losing Kozak as well. Obviously picked up Hammer as kind of a replacement, but you can't always find a free agent replacement, so it'll be good to kind of build that pipeline up. And with that, the pick is in, and you called it. They did go defenseman. They went with defensive defenseman Anthony Keeler, which the last name there, Keeler's, translates to cellar, as in a wine cellar. And his family is the keeper of a wine cellar, apparently. So congrats to him.
What language does it translate from?
You're asking the hard-hitting questions here. Looking at the spelling and pronunciation, I would guess something Germanish.
Yeah,
maybe.
I was thinking. I'm gonna Google it.
I'll see if I can find out. Yeah, I would guess German if I had to.
The German football. Yeah, it looks German. Looks pretty German.
Yeah. I just googled it as well. It said German. So, definitely an interesting little tidbit as well with the keeper of a wine cellar situation over there, and a nice build as well. Defensive defenseman, 6'1", 220, got some good size, right-handed shot. Like to see that. Some nice pick there for Vegas. Any thoughts there, Squibs, as the owner of an Italian team, and hearing about a wine cellar? Get you excited?
Well, I'm always excited to drink more. Granted, I might be switching from shots soon to, maybe a wine or, a beer or something. But nonetheless, anybody who, is really open to playing for any team at this point in the league, while still showing loyalty to, whichever team kind of drafts them, bodes really well for that player and for the team. A lot of teams at this point are planning for the next 2, 3, 4 seasons. So finding somebody who's willing to be open, take advice, and learn and grow, not only with the team but as a player, is huge for any given team. And I think that bodes really well for Vegas and their future. And if I'm not mistaken, they've made the last 2 finals. And I know that they won back in season 2. Doug, Twin Screw, Eric Davis were all there. I think Doug has not only a long-standing history of playoff success, but also getting the most out of his players. So at the same time, Doug's really good at getting people, pro opportunities when available. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony ends up finding a pro opportunity elsewhere outside of Vegas, just based on how Doug is, kind of interacted in the past with other teams. And so, I think, great pick for Vegas. No matter what happens with them. I see that Miami's pick just rolled in. Evan, you want to go ahead and take that?
Sure. So they went ahead and grabbed right winger Hendrix Ali, 5'10", 200 pounds, playmaking winger. Someone who's had a stint in Gohls before, quite a while ago, I believe. So it's always nice to see people kind of return from that. Chewie, did you want to weigh in with any thoughts on the Ali pick as we put Jacksonville on the clock? And any thoughts on that pick? And then if you want to bring on a guest.
Nope. No real opinion on that pick. But I do want to bring on someone that no one's probably heard from in terms of a draft show. The GM of the Honolulu Tropics, Luigi Romano. Why don't you come on, talk about your draft so far, what you like that you've done. You got to unmute your mic to do that. Okay, cool.
All right, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right, yeah. So I've just been sitting here watching the draft, seeing what teams take what players. And, somebody I was talking to Bobby about that I really liked is James Hogan. I was teammates with him on the Stags. Great locker room guy, made the All-Star game. It's just somebody that I really wanted to bring to Honolulu and build around him in the future. So whenever I saw he fell, in my opinion, he fell to us at 15, I was like, I think this is a guy we need to take. And so we took him. I'm thrilled to have him, and I look forward to building around him for the future.
Awesome, man. Yeah, well, welcome to the staff side of Gohls. Congrats on your first draft, and yeah, I think Hogan was a great pick for you guys for sure. I didn't expect him to go past 10, to be honest.
Me either, brother. Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, definitely a great pick there. I had a big asterisk next to his name, hoping he'd fall, but obviously I would have had to trade up quite a while to get my hands on him. So nice selection there in Honolulu for sure.
And I think we got the next pick to announce.
Yeah, I pivoted out of that chat for a second here. Did you want to go ahead and read that one off, Chewie?
Yeah, so the Jacksonville Vipers are on the clock. They select Jake Centeni, center, with their 18th pick in the second round, which puts Tennessee on the clock.
Yeah, nice pick there. A two-way forward. So they start a little lower. So typically two-way forwards do overall wise. So going to have to develop a little bit, but new to the league. It'll be exciting to see him get his feet wet in the minors next season. 6'1", 200 pounds, a nice size for two-way forward. Typically, two-way forwards, you don't want them to be too big like the Enforcer, the Grinder, but you also don't want them to be small like some of the snipers we see get lit up as well. So some nice kind of middle of the pack size there for a two-way forward. Yeah. Any thoughts on that pick there, Squibs?
Yeah, just a great pick overall. I think if I remember correctly, Terry Tupac's last season was a two-way forward as well. So they're kind of loading up on him. Terry Tupac's two-way forward last season. You look at their pro roster and you see Eaton Letterman and Alexander Fisherov, both two-way forwards. And, I got to give props to Banks, Rab, and Scurvy there. Every time I turned around, it seemed like Fisherov was scoring just a huge goal for him. If I think there's any team that can really unlock a two-way forward's potential in this draft, I got to give it to Jacksonville. They have success with it already. Scurvy is just a mastermind on the ice and off the ice. Fantastic individual. He's Scurvy, the team as a whole. I really think Centeni is landing in a great spot to build long term, and really develop and get to a good spot where he's able to become the next kind of Alexander Fisherov, Letterman type vibe. So Evan, back to you.
We've got a trade to announce involving the on-the-clock pick, the 19th pick of the second round. It's being traded to Copenhagen in exchange for the pick they just acquired from Glasgow, the conditional second-round pick that was part of that trade. Pardon me?
No, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, sounds good. So, Copenhagen receives the 19th pick of the second round in exchange for the conditional second that they had gotten from Glasgow, and that goes to Tennessee now, that conditional pick. And that's going to throw Copenhagen on the clock here. And yeah, Squibs, any thoughts on the trade? I know you're always a sucker for a good trade. Any thoughts on this one here, or just the general fact that we've seen probably more trades in this draft than we've seen in maybe the last 3 or 4 drafts combined?
Yeah, I do think part of it's, two-ish seasons ago we had the expansion, so a lot of teams were trying to fill a decent amount of pro spots, so maybe not as eager to move, trying to gauge what future value might be, and we've seen kind of a commitment from leadership that there might not be an expansion right around the corner like there has been in the past, so teams might be a little bit more open to moving those future picks, so to get somebody that they value now a little bit more than before, and plus with the affiliate system that's put in place, you're allowed and you're able to really kind of build out your minors program, and you look at teams like Rome, like Copenhagen, that have kind of done that already, and found a lot of success with it. As we've already talked about, Rome had 4 rookies on the all rookie team. Copenhagen this past season had Nacho Sicario as the rookie of the year winner. So I think there's a lot of value in doing that and allowing them to build. You look at Copenhagen having Tyler Grims there for quite a number of seasons before he became pro. Yeah, I think there's a lot of success now with this affiliate program and with how it's built, that teams are more eager to go ahead and trade and get value of a player that's on the board now, rather than wait and see what happens with the next draft class and how it might turn out, because not every draft class is the same. Some have more quality or more quantity, more quantity than others, and other ones have fewer quantity but relatively the same amount of quality as some of those larger ones. So it's kind of just playing the numbers, but yeah, that's why I think we've seen more trades so far. So Evan, back to you.
Yeah, and you mentioned Rome having the 4 all rookie players. They also had the one of the minors award winners was on their affiliate program as well. So definitely it pays to build some youth there. And yeah, like you mentioned, with no pending expansion, it allows teams to kind of build out a little bit more. Plus, if expansion was on the table, even building up your affiliate programs like some of these teams are doing would set yourself up to kind of take that expansion in stride. But yeah, like you said, there isn't one coming, so nobody needs to panic just yet. With that, the Copenhagen pick is in. I'm sure the timer's probably been up for a while on the screen, but the pick was in. And we can go ahead and announce that as center Shug Mack. Playmaker, left-handed shot, 6'1", buck 95, and yeah, been happy to be in the league for a while. Playmaking build, excited about the draft. The notes we were passed over here says the downfall is that they're a Montreal Canadiens fan. Canadians made a big trade in real life this morning, so I'd be interested to see how he feels about that. Obviously, it was with the Jets, my hometown team, the team I work for, so I heard a lot of kind of our side of that perspective. It'd be interesting to see how Canadians fans are looking at that trade. But yeah, he's the newest member of the Copenhagen affiliates. Squibs, any thoughts on the pick of Mac, or actually Chewie, if you wanted to go ahead and talk about your selection here or the thought process between trading up for him?
Yeah, I'll give Wicked the opportunity if he wants to talk about this one. If not, I can.
God.
Thanks, Chewie, for getting me to talk when I told you not to. But yeah,
Oh,
no problem.
I didn't realize. I'm so sorry.
Happy to be on here. So yeah, I guess my first time being on the coaching staff, I guess, with Copenhagen, and Chewie changes his mind, like he changes shirts. Like it is the worst thing on earth to do a draft board for him. But yeah, I took the time and pretty much started everyone on this draft board this season. And when we had an extra pick, and I wanted to get a playmaker on our side, so we were happy to make that trade for Shug. And having the 3 first-round picks there, the 3 of the 5 lottery, the top 5 picks there, 3 of the top 5, it was easy for us. We had our 3 targets, and we're happy to get them on board right away.
I don't change my mind that often, so if you ever want to come over and build a draft board for me, I won't complain. Yeah, obviously you guys had the 3 picks coming into the draft. Was it kind of a thought going in that you guys were going to try to trade for additionals like this, or just kind of a on-the-fly moment here for you guys?
It was at first we're not going to do anything. We're happy with our picks, and then the next 5 minutes later, she was like, "No, we're trading the picks." And
I don't
then
know
so
what
now
you're
I'm making
talking
some
about.
moves, I'm making some trades, and then he comes back again and decides, "No, we're keeping them." So anyhow, it was very exciting, and I think Chew and I are both the same way. The more trades we do, the more addicted we get. So then it just piles up one over the other. So yeah, it's pretty fun off season for us for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, I do want to say when I saw Shug still on the board, heard how eager he was to be in the league, couldn't pass up the opportunity to bring him onto the squad.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thanks for coming on here, Wicked. We'll talk to you in a bit again, I'm sure. With that, we've got the Miami pick. So I'll go ahead and announce that and then do a recap of the second round while Chewie gets ready to roll over to the third. So Miami has selected with the 40th overall pick, two-way defenseman Varushka Sorokina, left defenseman, right-handed shot, 6'3", 200. So again, I really like that two-way defenseman archetype, and right around that size seems to be really effective for them. So a nice pick up there for Miami. Varushka Sorokina. And to recap the second round, North Bay kicked things off with the 21st pick, taking Daniel Hellier. Rome takes defenseman Tim Robinson. North Bay grabs Robbie Arver. Miami takes Devin Rudisell. Florence Boogie Warden. Alaska gets Chris Clark. Copenhagen grabs Colby Cruz after trading back in. Rome takes Mikhail Becker. Miami with Rory Morgan. Tennessee grabs Hunter McWaffle. Vegas, Nick Frame. Calgary goes back-to-back with Keegan Gamble and Abrick Magic. Albuquerque takes Elliot McDonald. Columbus grabs Ash Boyd. Vegas goes Anthony Keeler. Miami takes Hendricks Ali. Jacksonville, Jake Centeny. Copenhagen trades back in again to grab Shug Mack. And then Miami takes Varushka Sorokina. And that's where we're at. We've got 31 more picks to go, if I'm not mistaken. And Vegas is on the clock for the first pick of the third round. No goalies yet off the board. The other positions starting to dry up a little bit, but still a handful of options at each of the other positions. Squibs, any thoughts on how the draft is unfolding so far?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that, one of these teams hasn't already went ahead and picked their goalie. There's only 2 teams, I believe, that need a goalie, but to still not have already selected theirs, I know that as soon as one picks theirs, the other one's able to wait until the end of the draft, just based on how the numbers work and such. But, teams prioritizing forwards and defensemen, it is, in a way interesting. Evan, I know that you had to replace your goalie earlier this year. Evan, do you want to talk about, just kind of having to replace, a highly performing goalie with, a rookie, and, just kind of the expectation shift that might bring, and, just how you're able to kind of handle that with your team and all of the different, moving pieces?
Yeah, I think when it happens in the off season or at the end of a season, and in some cases you might know about it ahead of time, it makes it a little easier to plan around. When it happens mid-season, it can definitely kind of derail a season, whether you had high expectations or whatever. It can definitely tank those. We didn't get off to a hot start this season anyway. Lashik was a 94 overall goalie, I think. And he was he was a pretty good goalie for us for a while, but this season he didn't start out too hot. So losing him for Barbo felt, at least at first, like a huge drop off. But then Barbo really kind of kicked it into gear and started outperforming what Lashik was doing for us anyway. So we got a little lucky with that. Not often you can count on a 63 overall goalie to outperform a 94, but it can definitely really, especially if you have a contending team and expecting a deep run, losing your goalie midseason can certainly affect that and kind of end your championship hopes. We did know about Lashik leaving a couple weeks before he did, and we were able to kind of plan and scout the goalies a little bit, so it wasn't like suddenly, oh, he's gone, we got to pick one today kind of deal. So we were able to scout the available goalies and make up our decision, and we're really happy with Barbo. Signed him to a 3-year extension. He's awesome, but yeah, these teams coming in with rookie goalies, it is going to be an adjustment for them. You'll have to play a little bit differently with a rookie goalie. But I think the rookies are, at least there's a handful of them that are ready to go and contribute right away. With that, we do have the first pick of the third round. Squibs, did you want to go ahead and announce that?
Yeah, 1 second to get back to the draft room. Oh, somewhere around here. Just a handful of tabs open. We're at the first pick of the third round, right?
Yeah.
With just trying to make sure I'm keeping up. With the first pick of the third round, the Las Vegas Senators select left wing playmaker Trent Robertson. As we throw Brooklyn on the clock, I want to say for their first pick in this draft, which is crazy. Evan, you want to talk about Robertson and then transition to talking about where you think Brooklyn might go with this next pick?
Yeah, Robertson, 6'3", 202. He found the league. He was bored. He was looking for a hockey league, and in his words, he found the best one by chance. So I don't know if he was just kissing up a little bit there or believes that, but I know I do. I think we've got a good league here, and always good when people kind of find us by chance, and happy for him. Good size, 6'3". Definitely. I don't think he played at all in the minors this past season, but obviously will get to start the season in the minors, and I think he's, with that size and kind of his starting build, I think he's got potential to be an impact player right away. Definitely a solid playmaking winger type of build. Be interesting to see, in the minors, the face-off skill isn't always up there for a lot of players, so sometimes you'll see playmakers used at center a little earlier, a little more frequent. As you know, young centers or young snipers typically start on the wing, even if they plan to play center, until they get that face-off built up. So it'll be interesting to see if Robertson plays on the wing like he created, or if he's used more as a pivot down the middle in this upcoming season. With that, we have the Brooklyn pick, and that is a forward, Kajel Kasparov. Oh, that was butchered.
Kasparov.
Kasparov.
I think
Kasparov.
it would be Kiel. Like, I think the J is a Y.
Kiel. You're definitely right. I completely butchered that one. That's for sure. I was trying to remember what position he was, and So, Kasparov going to Brooklyn. A nice pickup there to kick off the third round. It's Kasparov. That's the spelling of it. A smaller size build here, 5'7", $129. So I think that's minimums for both. I know that's minimum weight. Chewie, is that the minimum height? 5'7"?
Yep, it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I thought so. Real small sniper build, left-handed, left winger. So we'll see. Hopefully he doesn't run into some of these big defensemen right off the jump. With that, while we wait for the Sapporo pick to come in, why don't we bring in CGQ, one of the owners of Tennessee, if you wanted to kind of give your thoughts on, your draft so far. I think you've made one pick so far. You got another couple coming up here. Any thoughts on how it's going for you?
Yeah, we're quite excited about our pick that we made here with Hunter McWaffle. Um, and we just made that trade out here with Copenhagen to plan for the future a little bit there. Um, and I'm very excited for our next pick. I'm really looking forward to it. Um, I'm not going to give it away or anything. Don't want anyone stealing it from me, but
Yeah, no, fair enough. You don't want to reveal too much. Just I'll make sure no one else hears. Just tell me who you're picking. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, fair enough. So when you guys come into the draft, I guess is there certain things you prioritize more than other? Obviously, not showing your cards or anything, but what do you look at when you're scouting prospects and kind of managing a live draft like this?
So I got to give first I have to get a shout out to Captain Burnout. He's been fantastic. Him and Biff have been working behind the scenes like crazy. Burnout found a few of these prospects that we're looking at. We originally, when we first took over this team, past couple seasons, we've been looking speedy sniper playmakers. And now we're kind of leaning towards like a center ground now. One of the things that we always look for when we're making our picks is activity level. Are they talking in the chat? Do they watch the streams? Do they watch the games? Do they want to play for us? Which is a huge draw, is if they want to play for us.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of a big thing that this year we pick late, but in normal drafts when we have a little bit of earlier picks, I'm talking to a lot more prospects a lot earlier, and if they don't have any interest in playing for me, that's fine as long as they tell me that, and you move them down your board or whatever. But
yep.
That desire to play for your franchise is huge, and every season you're going to have some that don't, and it is what it is. But that's definitely something to look for sure.
Most definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Chewie, did you have any questions or thoughts for CGQ here?
No, just big congrats to you guys. I think this is your second playoffs this season, or maybe first, but second. Yeah. So congrats. Excited to see how you guys do next season. You guys are turning into an offensive wagon that I hate playing against. So that's always a good thing when people say that.
Yeah, thanks. That's a huge compliment to us, especially coming from you guys. I'm loving the growth of this team. How it used to be, we were bottom feeders for a few consecutive seasons there, and now I think we were second in the league in scoring this season. Our plus minus wasn't very good, but we're second league in scoring.
Yeah, well, you guys had a rookie goalie, I believe, or at least a second.
Yes, yeah. Hey, he made all rookie goalie. So William Stevens, fantastic job this season, getting called up right into the pros for us. Did a fantastic way to back us up in net. And next season, he's going to be a second-year player. We're going to have higher overall in goal, higher overall in defense, and our offense just keeps getting better. So we're hoping to go further this year in the playoffs.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming on, and look forward to seeing what else you guys have in store.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Well, we're still waiting on the pick. Why don't we bring in Potty? He had a few picks rolled off at the end of the second round, and it looks like he has at least one more in this round. Potty, how do you think the rest of your draft since we last talked is going, and anything else for us?
It's going really sick out here in Miami. We're rolling in top talent, so it's only climbing our way up. Going to be putting up some hardware on the mantle. I've already got the fireplace ready. It's glowing with, burning embers, just like our spirit to compete. And let me tell you, I don't even care what Sapporo's taking. We're taking Squid, McGoblin with our next pick, just to give you the head start. We're waiting on them. We're coming in hot, and we're feeling the fire. So appreciate all you guys coming in to join us this evening. Appreciate the hosts of this evening for putting this together. Very professional display. Love the light works going on in the background, and looking forward to getting our pick on the board.
Awesome. Cool, man. Well, thanks for coming back on. You guys got anything else for Potty?
No, I mean, you got a couple more picks coming up, so good luck here, and I hope you're happy with your draft. All right. I think so. We've got a trade coming in, but it doesn't affect the upcoming pick. And the Sapporo pick is in, and it is defenseman Kale Salad going to the Sapporo system. That's going to kick Miami up on the clock, who we just talked to, Potty, so we can let him go get ready to make that pick. And Kale Salad to Sapporo. Any thoughts on that pick there, Squibsy?
Yeah, a great toss-up of a name. Tossing salad.
Do you do that often?
Hang on. No comments. But I'm a big fan of Caesar salads. No. Damn it, Chewie. One of the last few remaining defensemen, I believe maybe the last, second to last, handful last defensive defenseman. Looking over the board went really swell there. That's why Trevor's running my draft. 6'1", 205 pounds, fairly straightforward as a defensive defenseman. However, as most defensive defensemen do, they bring a very defensive mind to their team that they're playing for, and knowing how Yodi's kind of built his team in the past, getting defensive players, getting kind of physical defensemen and forwards has been a priority for his. I think that this Cal Salad fits right in perfectly for them, and I think it's going to bode well for Sapporo long term. So, Evan, back to you.
Well, it was a very healthy pick for sure by Sapporo, that Kale Salad.
Yeah, that defensive defenseman, 6'1", 205, a good build. Been eating his salads for sure. He told me he's excited to be in the league and really enjoying meeting people through his scouting interviews and stuff that he's gotten. Nice nice pick up there for Sapporo. With that, Miami is up on the clock, and their pick is in. Squibs, did you want to go ahead and announce that one?
Yeah, so with the wrong tab. Fourth pick in the third round, the Miami Maccabees pop right out into the ocean, grab this one. They select left winger Squid McGoblin, which now puts Florence on the clock. Evan, over to you to talk about Squid. Sorry.
Yeah, he's been pretty active since joining. He is starting out as one of the lower overalls in the draft, or maybe the lowest overall at 49, I believe, which isn't unheard of for, two-way forwards. They tend to start a little lower. He's an enforcer, actually. Starting the low at 49 overall, 5'7", 219 pounds. The only thing he wanted to say is that he's miles ahead of Betsy. We'll see if that holds up here. Betsy was a first-round pick.
Not on the draft board, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, higher numbers are better sometimes, right? 44 is higher than 11.
44 is higher than 11.
Yeah, so, that's good. Activity is huge, especially, this late. You're looking for guys that are going to be active and stick around, and that's always something that you want to look for, and Squid's certainly proving to be active since joining. Any thoughts on that, Chewie, while we await the Florence selection?
No other thoughts. I think you covered it all there. Just trying to look. Maybe we can bring on another guest. Shiloh, I don't know if you're around. If you want to chat a little bit. If not, we could send it back to you, Evan, while we wait.
Give me just a second.
Here we go.
Oh, there we go. We got the new co-owner of San Diego, Shiloh. What do you think of your guys's? Well, I guess you haven't made a pick yet, but you have one coming up. Any thoughts on how the draft's going?
For everyone else is looking pretty good. For me, I think Matt is a bit, a little too much throwing picks away. Like, I guess me and him have different variations, so we'll see how it goes. I've already told him that we're going to switch up the philosophy on draft picks for the next few years. So it's going to be a good transition. My player has already been auto put into San Diego. Matt's player's coming in there here fairly soon, and we're about to go into a transition to being a retooling team. Don't think we're going to be a full rebuild, but we are going to be looking into different prospects here very soon. I've heavily scouted the last 2 rounds while this draft has been going on, so I have a good idea on who I'm actually going to pick. Been talking to Triple H a bit about the guys that he wants to pick as well, so we'll see what we do from there. But there are a lot of good guys in this draft. Even the late round picks are even underrated. So we'll just see how it goes from here. And it's been a really good draft. Great pick for Randy Orton. That was the pick I really like to see from Triple H, because he's got the activity, and activities obviously for any prospects about to come in, if they're making anyone new, the number one thing, no one cares about the overall, everyone cares about activity. If you're active, you're going to be a top pick in the draft. You'll be a top player in the league. And that's been since I've been here, which was season 1. I joined in season 1, and now I'm under player number 2, and crucially it's activity. If you're active in the chats and you're active, progressing your player and being vocal about, I guess, with the league, it helps grow the league as well, because it brings in engagement. That's all anyone ever really cares about, and just having fun. So, it's been a really good draft so far. So we'll see how it goes for the rest of the draft. But good luck to everyone else who's got the rest of the picks.
Awesome. Well, sounds like you're grabbing San Diego and Matt by the balls and taking control and helping them out. So, good job. Welcome back to ownership, and thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thanks for bringing me back into the ownership group. I had St. Louis for a little bit, and then had to step down because of family things. But I'm glad to be back.
Yeah. While we're waiting
Awesome.
for the Florence pick, we do have a trade to announce. I don't think we ever announced it. So let's get the sirens going.
Yeah, so the trade here we've got is between Calgary and Alaska. Calgary is receiving the 8th pick of the 3rd round. In exchange, Calgary is sending Honolulu's season 10 first-round pick to Alaska. That's the trade we've got. I think that's the only trade in the pipeline at the moment. So Calgary gets the 8th pick of the 3rd round. And the Florence pick is in. Squibs, did you want to go ahead and announce your pick?
I mean, yes, but no.
Oh, come on. That one's easy. You can do that.
Yes, says the guy with the team in Finland. Anyways, with the 5th pick in the 3rd round, the Florence Firebirds select defensive defenseman Sakari Martikanian. I know I mispronounced it. I'm sorry.
Martikainen.
There we go, Martikainen. So yeah, wasn't exactly sure where we were going with this pick. Looked over quite a few things, and realized that we could probably use a defenseman. We have Greg Ward Jr. currently after trading Dakota Butts to our rival Turku. So he could get a pro opportunity this offseason. So, wanted to go ahead and add a defenseman to our affiliate program, just kind of like looking for the future. So, Evan, I'll let you talk about Sakari here in a second after we put Alaska on the clock, I believe, for the next 2 picks. So yeah, over to you, Evan.
Yeah, Alaska's on the clock. Sakari, 6 foot, 190-pound defensive defenseman, real solid build, left shot. Yeah, one of the better defensive defenseman builds in the draft. Yeah, well, I'm excited to see what he's able to do in the minors. I don't believe played any games in the minors this past season. One of the newer creates, so it'll be exciting to see him make his debut. Yeah, and with that, we do have the Alaska picks. They both came in, and they're related, so we might as well announce them together. This is where we're seeing Liam Cody and Lincoln Cody selected, a couple of brothers looking to emulate the Sedin twins. Liam's the left winger, sniper, right-handed shot, 6 foot, 200 pounds. Lincoln Cody is the center, playmaking, left-handed shot, also 6 foot, 200 pounds. Raised in New York City, their father ignited their passion for hockey, and they bonded together, playing on the ODRs with dreams of one day going pro together. And here they are being drafted back to back to the same organization, which is Alaska. So they will be affiliated together. We'll see if they end up playing on the same minors team again or not. But they are going to be in the Alaska system together. Chewie, any thoughts on the picks of the Cody twins?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of awesome. He got both of the Cody twins in the third round. We considered actually trading up for them in the second at one point, but we just couldn't package 2 picks close enough where we could guarantee it, so it just didn't work. But yeah, Alaska ends up with a pretty solid affiliates there. 2 people that are hopefully committed. Liam used to be in the league with another player who I believe he won Rookie of the Year or a Minors Forward of the Year. So,
both, I think.
Both. Okay, there you go. So someone who's not, someone who's seen success in the league, and someone great to have for sure.
Yeah, now got a brother to play with, and hopefully double that success, at least hopefully for Alaska's sake. All right, with that, the Calgary Knights are on the clock here. Squibs, I'll kick it over to you if you have any thoughts on which direction Calgary might take this pick.
Yeah, goodness. This is this? Well, this is Calgary's first draft. I don't know if it's JT's first draft. I don't believe it is. I think he took over before the draft last year for Manitoba, but as an organization, this is Calgary's first. So looking over their roster, just kind of who they've gone with tonight, I wouldn't be surprised if they go with a defenseman. They have a handful of, older defensemen with Ramsacek, McAllister, Hammer, Gustafson, all 28 or 29, Dars 27. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they went defenseman. Same time, I wouldn't be surprised if they went forward. The owner, Waters, of course, being in goal, might be trying to put, together a solid team in front of him that's going to be physical, that's going to, do a lot of damage. And, a guy that they picked up last season in free agency, I believe, was Brandon Cuevas. And he's a bigger bodied forward, 6'9", 275 pounds as a sniper. And he did really well this past season in Manitoba, now Calgary. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did go with a bigger bodied forward, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if they went defense. So, Evan, I'll throw it back to you.
So with the 8th pick of the third round, the Calgary Knights have selected William Simpson, 6'5", 238-pound sniper. So like you said, big body, offensive build. The only thing he told me was that he wants to announce he's going to score 30 goals this season. I don't think anybody's ever scored 30 in goals. At least definitely not in the minors. So we'll see if he's able to make good on his promise, but yeah, big frame up front. Any thoughts on that, Chewie
Um,
or Squibs?
yeah, no, I don't really have any thoughts. Sorry.
I think a trend of last season's draft that we noticed that we kind of picked up on was bigger bodied snipers. It felt like I was saying that every other pick, basically. This season, I think we had more balance in terms of size, more, right around that, 5'10" to 6'1" range, rather than, bigger bodied players. Um, and so seeing, another bigger bodied sniper here with Simpson, I do think it bodes well. And, based on, just the play that we've seen in the simulation and in the game itself, you're able to see how size is very impactful. There's definitely, um, a benefit for having some size in this league. And, I think it's going to bode well for Calgary and Simpson. But as I've already talked about it earlier this evening. Size isn't everything. I know I support you, Evan. However, I do think it does pan off really well for Calgary here. So, um, you know, Evan, wondering what you're going to do here. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this might be Turku's first pick of the draft.
It is, yeah.
Evan, if you're available and want to talk about, where you might be going, absolutely, I'll let you chime in. However, if you want me to just go ahead and speculate, more than willing to.
Yeah, I'm mad at you right now, so you can speculate.
Oh, is it because
darn
he
it.
talked about your small wiener?
No, because he took my pick 2
Oh.
picks ago, and now I'm scrambling.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that then. That's my favorite when I'm able to not only snipe somebody, but snipe my rival. Absolutely. So yeah, no, there's not a ton of defensemen left on the board, so I wouldn't be surprised if Evan was previously looking at a defenseman to take. If he doesn't go defenseman here, Doc Hudson, William Heaney, both been around since season 1. Wonderful Carissa, Tatiana Shvets has been around since season 2. And then a handful of younger defenders there, Hellstrom, Butts, and Taj. So, like I said, wouldn't be surprised, but they did have just the recent winner of the defenseman minors player of the year. Minors defenseman player of the year. Goodness, that backwards. And Marvin Robbins. They picked up Larry Vibrani at some point, whether it was this offseason or near the deadline last year, from Las Vegas. And, we saw with Vibrani last season, very active. And then looking at the forward roster, or the forward affiliates, that is, they have 4 forward affiliates. So, really kind of any way that they could go there. But, looking at, just who they have, Onni Eskola is getting a little up there. Jake Anderson's getting up there. That David Hume guy is definitely, a bust guy if he's not deking on the ice. So yeah, I wouldn't, be opposed to seeing them go forward. At the same time, wouldn't be surprised if they went defenseman if they were already targeting a defenseman.
Yeah, so we got our pick in, and went ahead with, where did it go? Right winger Casper Sogard, 6'1", 213 power forward, right-handed shot. Yeah, told me when I was talking to him that he wants to kind of make his player be like his favorite player, Yannick Hansen. Which isn't. What's that?
You don't really hear that, like.
Yeah, you don't hear that name often, but it's funny because I was actually, he told me that I think today or yesterday, and I was thinking about Yannick Hansen a few days ago. He used to play for the Moose back in the day, so he played here. I saw him play a decent amount, and then he went up to the Canucks and played in the NHL a little bit. And a little while ago, or a few days ago, I was putting together just a little fun exercise. My favorite, all-time favorite NHL team, basically took basically made a lineup of hockey players that were my favorites, and Jannik Hansen just missed the cut on that. So once he said he liked Hansen, I kind of figured that was something in common, and I like the build, so we're pretty happy with that pick here. And that's going to throw Tennessee up on the clock for the 10th pick of the third round, pick number 50 overall. Any thoughts on the Solgaard pick, Squibs?
I have a question for you. Is he pretty friendly, Casper? That is.
Well, I really hope he's not a ghost. So,
talking about ghost, do you want to talk about the first ever pick in Gohls draft history?
Yeah, it's the first of a long line of Calgary/Turku picks, that first round picks that didn't stick with us. Was pretty dominant for a season and a week, or season and 2 weeks. And we'll leave it at that. Chewie, any thoughts on Sogard or which direction you think Tennessee's taking this?
Well, I looks like the pick is in, so I don't have to think about where Tennessee's going with it. They are going with left wing enforcer Benny Franklin Jackson with their pick in the third round, and that puts San Diego on the clock.
Yeah, so Benny Franklin Jackson, big build, 6'7", 245. Seeing a lot of physical guys in this draft. I think that might have something to do with the fact that there is a lot of crossover from the SRL, the rugby league, this year. His little backstory here for Benny Franklin Jackson comes from a long history family of athletes. Was apparently pegged to be the second coming of Dontari Poe, which, for those of you who don't know, a big defensive lineman in the NFL years ago. Was apparently flagged by scandal with a recruiter. So football is no longer an option, switched over to hockey, and wants to be a giant bruising forward in Gohls. So a nice physical pick there for Tennessee. Squibs, as a team that likes the big physical bodies, did you have any thoughts on this pick?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a ton of enforcers in this draft class, and I mean, there's not an overwhelming amount of enforcers in the league. But you're able to look at kind of the few that are here, and you're able to see that they've really kind of built a role on their team, and whether that's kind of the more physical player that's landing the hits, or they're a little bit maybe not as aggressive with landing the hits, but more focused on the defensive playmaking and penalty kill. I do think that there's a lot of value in not only just an enforcer, but especially one of this size, because you're going to get a guy out there who's, as we've already seen already in this draft, 5'7", 129 pounds, versus a guy who's almost twice his weight and a foot taller, who is just very likely going to level him if he can hit him. And injuries are on for the game only, but nonetheless, one hit from this person or from this player could easily knock somebody out for the game. So Evan, I will throw it back to you, because I see that San Diego's pick just came in, and I'm not going to let you guys throw it on to me to mispronounce this player's name. So Evan, I'll give it to you.
Oh yeah, this one. So with the 11th pick of the third round, the San Diego Reapers have selected Ryan Oterd. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. But decent size here. Again, two-way defenseman.
If I may jump in to tell you, it's Ryan Oterd.
Oterd. There we go. Appreciate that. So it's a big two-way defenseman, 6'3", 225. According to Ryan himself, he's one of the longest tenured GMs in the SHL right now. So a bit of staff background there. Wonder if that helps out San Diego, or if he's looking to be just a player here. So Yeah, a nice pickup there. Solid build to get this late for sure, especially with that staffing background. If he does have interest in helping out in that regard here, yeah, Chewie, any thoughts on that pick?
Well, like Shiloh mentioned earlier, he's been doing a ton of scouting during the draft, so I'm sure it's someone he's super happy to get. With the lack of picks that Matt set them up with this season, looks like he's making it work for the squad. And we do have the Albuquerque pick to announce. Then we will have a trade to announce, and then Squibs will take another shot. So with the Albuquerque pick, 12th pick of the third round, they take left wing Tank George, and that will put Las Vegas on the clock. And while they're on the clock, we'll also announce the trade that just happened.
Yeah, so with that, Norfolk is receiving a season 10 second round pick that originally belonged to San Diego from Vegas, and Vegas is getting the 14th pick of the third round and the 5th pick of the fourth round in this current draft. So Vegas picking up a couple late picks here in exchange for a future second. So they're going to have 2 back-to-back picks here then if I'm not mistaken.
You are not mistaken, and I'm not mistaken that Squibs just picked up a bottle.
All right, Squibs, what's the pick this time?
I really don't want to finish off the bourbon that I have.
But you may as well.
At the moment, so I might. I mean, it's supposed to be a sipping bourbon, and I'd rather not just pound the rest of it. I might need to go grab a different bourbon. I mean, I can happily grab a beer. Well, I mean, it's a cider, but nonetheless, and just chug that if, we'd be more open to that and me actually waking up for work on time tomorrow. But,
yeah, so why don't we do that? Take the shot of the bourbon and then go grab the cider to sip on for the rest of the draft. No more shots after that.
You can shotgun the cider.
Oh,
if you want,
shotgun the cider.
It's in a glass bottle, and I never learned how to a glass bottle, so I'm not gonna.
It's easy. You put a straw in the top, and then you drink it with the straw beside it, and it works just like shotgunning.
Evan, I want you to please note that the only straws I have here are metal and or plastic.
I was gonna say you seem like a guy with metal straws.
I don't even know what that means.
You like turtles?
Anyway, where are we at? I think we got a pick in here.
We do have a pick. Yep.
So going back to Tank George here for a sec, though, big physical power forward, 6'5", 250. He's a gritty football player. Didn't really play hockey much growing up until the schools came calling, as he says. Looking to be a big hitter on the ice, taking that football background onto skates and causing some damage. And Squibs has passed out as the screen went black. With that, Vegas' pick is in, or the first of their 2 is in. And they went ahead and took sniper Andrew Brent. So he's a sniper, center build, right shot, 5'11", 215. Played his high school hockey in Orange County, New York, for the Minnesink Warriors. Then he went ahead and played college at Syracuse before moving over here to Gohls, where he'll play in the minor leagues. He's team first, likes to keep a cool head, so hopefully for his sake, not too many penalties coming down the pipe on his stat sheet. Any thoughts on that pick there, Chewie?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of mentioned it before. Another couple picks that were traded up from another draft. So Doug obviously had two people that he really wanted. I'm gonna assume he got them. If he didn't, kind of sucks to trade up and not get your guys. But I think this is the most picks Las Vegas has ever had in a draft since since their entry draft. At this point, I think they're on their like fourth or fifth picks so far. So yeah, big shout out to Doug. Big shout out to Doug for changing up the plan a little bit this season and going the drafting route.
Yeah, definitely. And with that, their other pick is in, and that is two-way defenseman Charlie Rossini, 6'1", $190, right-handed shot. Found us through the simulation rugby league as well. So another one of those the two-way defenseman builds that I think have been pretty effective. So we'll see if he turns into another one on that list. And with that, we see Honolulu back on the clock for the 15th pick of the third round. Nearing the end of things here, the stack of players left on the board slimming out. Still no goalies picked yet. Shouldn't be far off from having to see a goalie. I think we'll see our first forced goalie in about 10 more picks or so, give or take. Maybe a little less than that. Any thoughts on the mindset of waiting to take a goalie? We talked a little bit about what happens when you lose one earlier, but just the mindset in general of waiting to pick one when you know that only a couple teams need one. Any thoughts on the draft strategy there, Squibs?
Yeah, I do think it gives you the opportunity to utilize one of these picks that you have to draft players to put in front of the goalie, or at least in the future. So I think that there's value in waiting. Back in season 2, when when Banks and I helped expand with Ottawa, we selected Gerard Brody. I think with our very last pick, we were fine with the handful of goalies that were on the board, and Brody was the one that was the one that fell, just based on numbers, and we were fine with waiting on taking him, and I think that's worked out very well for Jacksonville in the long run. Being able to wait on grabbing a goalie and getting a lot of other players ahead, up and early. Like one of those players I remember was Scurvy. Robert Garrett Jr. was one of them. So a lot of players that are currently on that Jacksonville team that play a very key role, were taken ahead of Brody, waiting on him. And I think that's built, very well for Jacksonville's success, and I think that's a model that a lot of teams can, kind of model themselves after, because clearly it's worked for Jacksonville. So, I do think that there's value in waiting and, getting other key targets that, probably won't be on the board, because when you're drafting, against one other team that needs a goalie versus 19 other teams that need either a forward or a defenseman, that you're getting one of your top 2 targets. And so, I think that kind of plays into it. So, Evan, I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, so with that, we've got the next pick in. Honolulu, with the 15th pick of the third round, have selected defensive defenseman Robert Crone. Crone, something along those lines. Somebody who's been in the league once or twice before. You see him around different sim leagues. He's in PXF, ESL, probably others that I'm forgetting right now or that I'm not even in. So active guy, usually around Chatham, was on Montreal this past season. He didn't register any points, but he's a defensive defenseman, joined kind of late-ish in the season, I believe. So nothing to blink an eye out there with the point totals. But any thoughts on this pick here, Chewie, or what it's like drafting with people who I've already been in the league before and left and came back.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just figuring out what the reason is, so obviously life happens. Don't want to fault someone for trying to focus on that. But you also want to make sure that, if it's someone that's been in and out, that, they're committed to the league, because it's tough to lose a pick just to see them come back. So hopefully everything's good, and hopefully we can see Crone in the league for a long time. And yeah, we actually got the next pick to announce as well.
Yeah, Squibs, I think this is your pick. If you're around, do you want to read it out?
Absolutely. Oh goodness, yeah. So
What
with
did
the what's that, Evan?
No, never mind. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. With the 16th pick at the third round, the Florence Firebirds select right wing playmaker Jimmy Miller, which now puts Columbus on the clock. From the reports I've heard, because I do all of my own team scouting, obviously.
100%.
Yeah, definitely not why Trevor and Geyer and Belmont are on this team staff or anything. Jimmy is friends with our first two picks, Betsy, Jesus. Yeah,
What?
thanks, guys.
Betsy McGee. Take a sip.
Have you been taking extra shots off screen, Squibs?
His face looks redder than the
I
Florence
don't even
Firebirds
know.
logo.
Betsy Nickelback and God. Guys, Coffin. So friends with them, but also is an anime fan, which goes well with Trevor and T-Bins. I know nothing about anime. T-Bins has been, trying to get me introduced to it. But the thing that I think stood out the most to me was, and I know that everybody's going to appreciate this, is that Jimmy is 6'6" and 215 pounds as a playmaker. So it's very much one of those builds that shouldn't hit, but is going to hit, which is very much the Florence Firebird style. So
is there enough
Evan,
food in your locker room for your team?
With the way Trevor's drafting, I'm not sure if we will. At this point, though, I think Squibs could probably skip a meal or two. So, Evan, over to you, though. Because I should probably stop talking.
Yeah, speaking of meals, we have the next pick in, and it is for Columbus. They have selected Colonel Sanders, a 6'2", 205 left wing grinder, heading over to the Columbus organization. Obviously, Colonel Sanders, the mascot of Kentucky Fried Chicken. And with that, we see Jacksonville up on the clock. Yeah, like I said, 6', 205, left-handed, grinder forward. Played for, I want to say Prague this past season. Let's see here if I'm right. I am right. Prague picked up a couple of points, only played for a couple of weeks by the looks of it. 54 overall. Yeah, definitely going to be the type of player to put pressure in the corners, battle for it in there. Yeah, like I said, only played a couple weeks, played 6 minors, picked up a couple points, goal and an assist. So we'll see how they develop down the line. Chewie, any thoughts on that pick or which direction you think the Vipers are heading?
Yeah, good pick. I think in our scouting, we learned pretty quick that Colonel Sanders was a friend of someone on the Columbus Chill. So it was one of those ones where you scout them and they kind of asked not to be drafted. But good that Columbus was able to get their guy. And speaking of the next pick, we got Jacksonville drafting Ruben Mobbs with the 18th pick of the 3rd round. So that will put Las Vegas back on the clock.
Yeah, that's Ruben Mobbs, 6'6", 240-pound two-way defenseman. Yeah, a very physical type of build there, right-handed shot. only started playing hockey in the last week, according to him. So very new to the sport, and we'll see how that translates here as he gets set to make his minor league debut. Obviously, with a two-way defenseman and that type of size to him, he's starting out at a 58 overall, which is pretty solid for a starting build. You know, we don't see many get above that. We do see some defensive defensemen get into the low 60s, like 60, 61 as starting builds, but 58 overall defensemen in the minors should have a good amount of success. Any thoughts here, Squibs, on another big-bodied player going?
Yeah, you know, when I was looking at the draft board, Ruben is definitely a player that stood out to me just based on size alone, and you know the fact that we'd already talked about, you know, how valuable two-way defensemen have become. So you know you're going to get, you know, somebody who is very defensive, but you know with, you know, not a full offensive build, not a IMT, but you know, somebody who has at least some, you know, offensive output. So you know that'll be really good for him. You know, talking about Colonel Sanders to this last pick, you know, some Kentucky Fried Chicken, talking about a Ruben here. You know, food might not be the worst idea after this draft for me. So
Someone redeemed a shot of water for you, by the way.
Oh, I appreciate you. That's what the Yeti's for. So yeah, no, I think it's a fantastic pick. Evan, where do you think Las Vegas is going to go here?
Probably the name at the top of my board, because that's what he did with his last couple picks here. Well, that's okay, because I sniped him before that. He sent me a vulgar message about. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's, you know, it's tough to predict because, like we talked about, Vegas doesn't have a ton of draft history. Obviously, this year they've got more picks probably than the last 5 drafts combined, maybe. At least, you know, like we said, not having a first-round pick for a while. Yeah, so they've kind of picked all over the board here. They've picked up a few defensemen. You know, they picked up a couple of forwards. I could see them maybe taking another forward here, already picking 3 defensemen this draft. So we'll see. And and the pick is actually in Squibs. Did you want to go ahead and read that one off?
Yeah, this one might not be in Spanish, but I can definitely read it and say it. With the 19th pick of the 3rd round, Las Vegas selects right-wing power forward Ricky Spanish, which now puts Boston on the clock. I feel like this might be the first time I'm saying Boston's on the clock. Evan, is that
true? Yeah, looking like Boston hasn't made a pick yet. Might be the last team to get on the clock here, if I'm not mistaken.
Evan, you want to talk about Spanish and where you think Boston might be heading with this?
Yeah, so yeah, Ricky Spanish, another active player since joining the league fairly recently. 6'4", 225-pound power forward, left-handed shots. Been asking about how to upgrade right off the bat since joining, pretty much. So really eager to get going. Obviously, progressions will start on February 6th for the preseason. And then it's once a week throughout the season. So they're really looking forward to it here. And trying to grow their players. Starting at 52 overall as a power forward build is not too bad. Some good size, should be able to hold up against some of the tougher defensemen that we see in the minors. So looking forward to seeing them make their minor league debut when the preseason kicks off in a little over a week here. With that, we've got the next pick in for Boston. I'll go ahead and announce it and then recap the 3rd round as Chewie gets ready to roll things over for the final 11 picks in the 4th round here. So Boston, to round out the 3rd round at number 60 overall, take right-wing sniper Zay Witherspoon, 6 foot, 200 pounds. Yeah, nice pick up there. Left-handed shots for Zay Witherspoon to round out the 3rd round. So in the 3rd round, starting at number 41 overall, we saw Trent Robertson to Vegas. Brooklyn made their debut of the draft, taking Kiel Kaspodorov. Sapporo picked up Kale Salad. Miami went Squid McGoblin. Florence with Sakari Martikainen. Alaska grabbed the Cody twins back-to-back, while Calgary then went William Simpson. Turku picked up Casper Sogard with their first pick of the draft. Tennessee went with Benny Franklin Jackson. San Diego with Ryan Eotired. Albuquerque grabs Tank George. Las Vegas with back-to-back picks takes Andrew Brandt and Charlie Rossini. Honolulu grabs Robert Cron. Florence back on the clock went with Jimmy Miller. Columbus with Colonel Sanders. Jacksonville grabs Ruben Mobbs. Las Vegas took Ricky Spanish. And then, as we just saw, Boston went and grabbed Zay Witherspoon. And with that, the North Bay Mallards are on the clock for the final time tonight, pending any trades they make later, if they do. Thoughts on how the draft has gone so far while we wait on North Bay here, Squibs?
Yeah, I think it went out, or went, yep. Yeah, it went about as well as my drinking. No, I do think overall it went really well. You saw a good balance. I'd say early on, you saw Copenhagen valuing players who have already been in the league and on their second creation, and after that, you really kind of saw a fair balance between players who have already been in the league and are starting their second player, and players who are new to the league. I do think that speaks very highly of the people who are newer to the league. You're being drafted right around the same time, or above people who've already been here for a minute. Not saying anything bad about the people who've already been here for a minute by no means, because everybody has different values, different opinions on players and such. But I do think that there's as we get farther and farther into the league's life cycle, you're going to see more and more of the players who are creating their second players, and as well as players joining for the first time. And I think this is really kind of the first draft that we've had that there's been a significant amount of second created players. And it's interesting to see how teams react and kind of draft accordingly. And so I would say it's went about as well as I kind of anticipated it going originally, minus my drinking. But thank you all who redeemed, donated, bought subs. Very well appreciated, and thank you all for your support and for tuning into this draft. So, Evan, I'll kick it back to you.
Yeah. I think we're still waiting on. Oh no, it is in. The North Bay pick has been made. We have offensive defenseman Wilson Hunter taken by the North Bay Mallards. That's going to throw Brooklyn up on the clock for the second time here. Wilson Hunter, like I said, offensive defenseman, 6'2", $198. He's had to work hard to get to where he is right now. Right-handed shots. A solid starting out build for an offensive defenseman. We'll have to do a little bit more work for sure to develop as well. With that, while we throw Brooklyn on the clock, I see Nate in the chat. Nate, did you want to come in and talk about the picks that Columbus made tonight, and what went into those? If Nate's around.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Yeah, I can hear you fine. Thanks for coming on. Let's hear about your draft a little bit.
Yeah, so obviously we moved up quite a bit, made some questionable decisions, but at the end, I think we got who we wanted with Angel, Nicole's personal close friend. It was worth a couple draft picks. Ash Boyd was somebody that we targeted the start of last season. She was going to be high on our board since she was part of the rugby league. And then with Colonel, he is a personal friend of mine.
Awesome.
So
Well,
we lucked out 3 separate times.
awesome. Well, yeah, that's always good when you get your targets in the draft. Sounds like you guys are pretty happy with all 3 of your picks. So that's great. Congrats on a successful draft, and good luck this season, or later in the draft if you happen to make a trade. But yeah, good luck heading into next season.
Thank you.
All right. Now we've got the Brooklyn pick is in. The second pick of the 4th round is forward Freddie Lack. Center playmaking, left-handed shot, 5'9", $180 on the scale. So some, a bit on the lighter side, smaller side, but not too crazy small. As far as a forward goes, I think that's right around the size my player is. I think I'm 5'9", 175, maybe 175. I think my player. So right around that size. So definitely on the smaller size, but not as small as we've seen some other prospects here. With that, Sapporo's on the clock for the 3rd pick of the 4th round, number 63 overall. Let's try to bring on another guest here while we have a minute. Scurvy, I don't know. I know you're in the chat. I don't know if you're here to talk or to listen. So if I'm calling on you unsolicited, I apologize. But if you'd like to talk about the Jacksonville draft, wasn't a super busy one for you guys, but you had a couple of picks there. How'd it go for you?
Hey, good evening. Yeah, we unfortunately we lost Dove. I had a talk with her, and she just sort of lost interest, fell out of the league, which is fine. A lot of people do that. So, but we were still incredibly deep at defenseman, and I was doing good in my sizable forwards. One thing I was starting to run short on was those traditional Viper style snipers we like to put on the wing, or a playmaker I can convert to center. We're famous for flip-flopping wingers with centers and vice versa. So I wanted to fill that out, and I'm really happy we got a couple of those traditional sniper playmaker types, and finally capped it off with a nice defenseman to get back going in the pipeline again. Because although I am deep at defenseman, those 2 defensemen are about ready to go pro, and I may or may not have room for both of them. So sooner or later, I'm going to need the other end of that pipeline to start maturing a defenseman as well. So I'm happy.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It's obviously kind of the time in the league where teams are starting to really kind of stockpile in their cupboards, kind of looking ahead a little bit. What are your thoughts on, obviously you guys have always built from within through the draft. What are your thoughts now that teams are able to kind of fill their prospect pipeline, as you put it, and kind of prepare for the future and that philosophy?
That there's more than one way to skin a cat or win a cup, and I had this conversation with Squibs many times. You gotta play to your strengths. Our strengths has always been building from within, and Squibs, his strength is signing the marquee free agents, and had more power to him. I don't look down on that at all. And like I said, play to your strengths. But I would, for any other teams back there struggling or looking at a retool, I would strongly suggest taking a look at our roster, see how we've done it over the years. One thing that really helps is getting a solid people. Don't worry about the builds as much at first, because you can, everybody's Gretzky in this league eventually, as long as they hit their progressions. Just get good people that are going to progress, so you don't lose a lot of people, and especially at your vital positions, you need a strong defensive pair, and you need a strong goalie. Those are 3 spots right there that'll put you on a fast track toward contending for a cup.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you made a great point. Like, there's multiple ways to win cups. Like your team built within, and Florence didn't win a cup, so I guess there's that. But
Yeah, but no, it shows that you can rebuild or you can retool or develop a team in different ways as well. And even if you just look at the standings now, you've got teams like Jacksonville, Boston, Florence at the top when those teams were kind of middle of the pack towards the bottom a handful of seasons ago, and now they're perennially at the top the last couple of seasons. So it's nice to be able to see teams kind of develop that way, and whether you do it from within, like you said, or go after free agents, or a mixture of both, or make big trades or whatever, it's possible for teams to definitely climb the ranks. Obviously, it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, but you get those active guys that are going to progress, and that's huge for you.
Yep.
All right, so we've got a pick in here. The Sapporo Steamers pick is the first place we see a goaltender come off the board. Obviously, we knew two teams came in needing them, and the Sapporo Steamers have selected goaltender Taz von Wolfswinkel. Going to the Steamers, 6'6", 216 pounds, hybrid build, catches left-handed. Yeah, a nice pickup there. I believe, I could be wrong, but I think that's the highest overall goalie in the draft.
You'd be correct.
Yeah, approaching 70, I think 69 overall or so.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. As soon as I said it, I heard that coming. Yeah, so definitely a nice pickup here for Sapporo between the pipes. Obviously, just moved on from Shots and Stopper. So we'll see how Von Wolfswinkel acclimates to the pros there. And with that, we've got the next pick in Miami's selection. Squibs, did you want to go ahead and read this pick off?
Absolutely. With the fourth pick in the fourth round, the Miami Maccabees select goalie Elijah Nordstrom, which now puts Las Vegas on the... Yep, thank you. Yeah, Evan, I'll throw it over to you to talk about this pick for Miami, but real quick, Elijah Nordstrom, more so Nolan Nordy Nordstrom, just a fantastic player. Had him here past few seasons. I know he played for Chewie for a couple of seasons. With Nolan, just absolutely key in our success and growing as a team. But yeah, Evan, if you want to talk about Elijah and this pick for Miami.
Yeah, another hybrid archetype, catches left-handed, 6'5", 220, so a big frame in net. Yeah, his kind of the story he went with this player is that Elijah is the younger brother of Nolan, and mentioned obviously Nolan played for Florence for a while and also played for the Dublin Dragons back in the day before they became the Copenhagen Vikings. So those are the two goalies that are going pro out of this draft. Taz von Wolfswinkel and Elijah Nordstrom. The rest of the goalies that were draft eligible and the ones that weren't are all going to be playing in the minors next season. And we'll find out all their teams and all the other minor league players' teams over this weekend here as well. Now that we know who's going pro, we can kind of finish those rosters as we reshuffle things. So the three players going pro out of this draft are Joseph Delaney, Taz von Wolfswinkel, and Elijah Nordstrom. And I could be wrong, but I believe that's the smallest number by far that have gone pro out of a draft. Chewie, do you happen to know how close any other draft might have been to being this low as far as pro spots?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I was just saying, I think that this draft by far has the fewest straight to pro picks.
Oh, yeah.
I was wondering if you knew how close any other draft was to being this low.
I think one of the other drafts was maybe 10, give or take, 10,
Yeah.
15.
Yeah, I was going to say we might have had one creep under 10.
Yeah,
maybe 9 or 8 or something, but I don't think anything below that. So this is quite small, which is good for the league to show that affiliates are kind of filling those openings, because it's not like there weren't a lot of pro openings and retirements and stuff. It's just a lot of people stick around and affiliates moving up to fill those spots, and now these players going to go fill those affiliate spots and develop. All right, Squibs, any thoughts what Vegas is going to do with their last pick of the draft?
Ooh. At this point, I think it's kind of on the board with wherever they want to go. Just based on who's left, I wouldn't be wrong to say it'll be a forward because I think only forwards are left at this point. So yeah, I'm going to take the safe option and say it's a forward. Evan, I'll throw it back to you. You can discuss it or throw it over to Chew if you'd like.
Yeah, well, the pick is in. So with the 5th pick of the 4th round, pick number 65 overall, the Las Vegas Sinners have selected Alexandros Mograine, right winger, playmaker, build, a right-handed shot, 6 foot, $195. He just wanted to pass on a message here as he got picked that Betsy is an old worm. So people taking shots at your first round pick there, Squibs. How's that make you feel?
Hey, we've taken a lot of shots over the years, but we've actually made the second round of playoffs, Evan. So I'm not really concerned about it. Next season we'll make the third and hopefully fourth round of playoffs, and maybe win it all. So, but yeah, when you add a player like a Nickelback to the team, you're immediately going to kind of skyrocket to the top of getting a lot of hate. So, is what it is. But Nickelback's a great band, and our Betsy Nickelback is a great player. So, I'm gonna roll the punches and just keep moving forward.
Man, I wasn't even taking shots at you. I was passing on what others said, and you fire right back at me. I see how it is. That's okay.
I just want to say that Squibs got like 35 water shots to do. Everyone is seeing Squibs struggle here.
Chug back some water. Yeah, I mean he's doing all right. I've seen Squibs struggle a lot worse. That's for sure, but definitely important to get that water going. What's that?
You saw me go to the ER, so
yeah, that is true. Yeah, fun times. So Glasgow anyway is on the clock here for a couple of back-to-back picks.
We do have a trade to announce. We could do that while we wait. So
let's get
that going.
Yeah, let's do that. So we got there's a lot of chatting in this trade. Do you have the details ready there, Chewie, or I can find them here? So it looks like okay, here it is. It's just a little flip here. Tennessee gets the final pick of the 4th round, the 11th pick of the 4th round, Mr. Irrelevant, and San Diego moves up to the 10th pick of the 4th round. Just a little flip so that Tennessee gets the right to call Mr. Irrelevant. Nice and easy 1-for-1 trade. Yeah, I guess Tennessee's happy with either prospect left on the board, and they just want the aesthetic of Mr. Irrelevant and maybe the storyline of a future Brock Purdy here, going off and lighting the league on fire. Thoughts on a trade like that there, Chewie? I think, actually, ironically, I think it's the second time in league history we've seen a trade for Mr. Irrelevant for nothing in return other than just a flip of picks like that. Any thoughts on a move like that?
Yeah, I guess if Tennessee's happy to do it, that works. I mean, no real thoughts other than that.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I think we saw it once before in, I want to say season 4. I don't know if it was the last pick and second last pick or the last pick and 2 picks before it or something like that, but it ended up not mattering anyway because the team that traded back to the last pick just needed a goalie. But I remember they did it for a similar reason. They wanted Mr. Irrelevant storyline, or I might have made a prediction on who was going to be picked at a certain point, and they wanted to throw that off or something along those lines. So we have seen something like this before, just a small little flip of a pick. And with that, we have
a double.
Vegas. picks. Yeah, the double
Nope,
picks.
it's
Do you want to
Glasgow.
go ahead and
It's
read them?
Glasgow.
Sorry, yeah, Glasgow. Yeah, Doug posted them for Glasgow. Yeah, so we got first up at the 6th pick of the 4th round, two-way forward, Jamal Goodman Jr., 6'3", 205-pound, left-handed center. He's going there. And then we've also got, also to Glasgow, Michael Michizov, left-handed center, playmaking build, 6 foot, 207-pound frame on him. Yeah, so Goodman is the son of Gohls veteran Jamal Goodman, following a similar path. And yeah, Jamal Goodman Jr. actually netted 3 goals in just 9 games for the Pittsburgh Lions this season, and then went on to win the McGinley Cup with them. Michizov, he played on the PK for Detroit, was another late joiner, played just 6 games, picking up 4 points, 3 of those assists. So definitely looking to contribute at a high level next season. Obviously, 4 points in 6 games is quite the feat, and then would have been a part of that upset where Detroit, as the 8 seed, swept the number 1 seed Berlin in the first round of the playoffs. So couple of nice picks here with a little bit of playoff success under their belts in a short minor stint, and we'll see if they can build on that going into next season. And that throws Rome on the clock. Any thoughts here, Squibs, on those picks or what Rome's going to do?
You know, it's late in the draft.
Yeah.
We're yeah. Evan, I'll throw it back to you. I need a second. I'm sorry.
No, that's fair enough. It is late in the draft. That was a factual statement.
Yeah, you did not say anything incorrect.
Yeah, nailed it. In fact, yeah, yeah. Chewie, I guess any thoughts on the picks there, and seeing both of them put up a decent number of points in a small sample size of games.
Yeah, great picks. I don't know if Jamal Goodman Jr. is any relation to Jamal Goodman already on Glasgow. If he is, I guess sweet pickup there. If he's not, weird coincidence. And Michael Michizov, yeah, someone we kind of took a peek at during the drafts, but glad he was picked up by a good team.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
A couple water shots for Squibs after that one, eh?
And okay, so yeah, with that, by the way, I don't think I mentioned it, but Turku is on the clock for the 9th pick of. Oh no, sorry, Rome's on the clock. We haven't announced that one yet. The pick is in.
Yeah.
For them. So Rome has selected Cyrus Marks, two-way forward, 5'11", 176 pounds. Came over from the SRL, which is again that rugby sim league, and he's keen to try out another sport. So shout out to him. Any thoughts on the pick of Cyrus there, Chewie? I think it's somebody that we've seen be a little active since joining, and a nice pickup here for Rome this late.
Yeah, no, good pick. Again, another person we took a look at during the draft. Really surprised he made it this far. Yeah, so solid pick by Rome. I think they've finally rostered a full 19 affiliates at this point, or very close to it. And I guess you're still considering your picks. Is Squibs still coherent to talk?
Squibs is mostly coherent. No, I do like the pick of Cyrus here. A two-way forward. With the short amount of time that they were joining, seems active as it is. And as somebody who kind of maintains, or at least used to, bots and spam in the Pokemon Poke2 server. It's always great to see somebody active in that channel. So yeah, I do like that, and the build itself is great. A little bit on the lighter side, but somebody who whether it's over time or whatnot can easily add weight or improve as they go. As we talked about with two-way defensemen, two-way forwards earlier in this draft, they start out a little bit lower in terms of overall, but once they get kind of everything put together, it really starts to click and they really take off. And I think Evan and I did at one point, kind of a look through of all what the NHL Pro rosters look like, and a majority of it felt like it was two-way forwards. So, if the NHL is saying that majority of their forwards are two-way forwards, it kind of bodes well for two-way forwards in our league. Because you see the snipers and the playmakers making the plays, you see the enforcer and power forwards kind of making the hits and the defensive plays, and then you see the two-way forwards doing a little bit of both, and they're kind of the unsung hero of their teams. So I know Evan's getting ready to pick here soon. Chewie, what do you think he's going to do here? There's only a handful of forwards left, but you want to take a pick at which one he might go with?
Yeah, he'll definitely pick a forward here. It'll either be a center, left wing, or right wing. Could be a playmaker, two-way forward, or sniper. I'd put all my money on it being one of those options at this point.
Yeah, as a fan of the St. Louis Cardinals that Evan is, I wouldn't be fully surprised if he went with Jordan Walker here on name only. Just because he is a St. Louis Cardinals fan. Who would know that the owner of the Winnipeg Jets is a fan of the St. Louis Cardinals?
What a weird dude.
And
Owner,
also likes Calgary Flames. Weird.
Yeah, really weird. I heard he works for one of the teams that is a rival of that team, but.
Yeah, and I'm going to the Flames game here in Winnipeg, and I can't wear my Flames stuff. So.
Oh, well.
I hope not. As
tragic.
Well, in a minute, you're about to get flamed because you have the clock's running out.
Did you pick Evan?
There's a 33% chance you pick a player. 100% of the time.
Yeah. All right, got the pick in. That'll throw San Diego up on the clock. After this pick announcement, Turku Finns have selected a number 69 overall. Herbo Lafleur, the playmaking center, left-handed shot, 6 foot, buck 85. Not. There's a bit of a tough decision there. A few players I like still available. So, nice. We're happy to pick up Lafleur here, add another playmaker to the pipeline. Good starting build. Was projected as a 4th round pick by Otters, according to the notes I was passed here. And, I wonder where McRoss had him. I'm looking here. Start of the 3rd round, so fell a little bit from that mock, but was projected 4th round in the other one. So definitely a late round pick here, and we're hoping to develop into something special for the Finns, as late round picks can develop in this league we've seen. So. Any thoughts on that pick, or which of the 2 remaining picks San Diego will take?
Yeah, I honestly just feel bad for Herbo there. Hopefully he gets his winning out in the minors before he gets promoted. Chewie, if you want to talk about Turku Finns and Urbo, or if you want to talk about what San Diego, where they're going here.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a solid pick. I think I won my bet. They picked a forward. That was a center.
Is there a big payout there? Or?
Playmaker. It was yeah, you know what? The odds were actually 1,000 to 1. So drinks on me tonight, I guess. And
The same amount of odds as Jerku making it past the first round.
Bro.
Love you, Evan.
Well,
Yeah.
I still wouldn't be surprised if Squibs doesn't even make it to the end of this draft with how he's been drinking.
He's hanging on.
Yeah,
It's
I've
only
noticed
4
since
rounds.
the
It's a short
first
draft.
round, Squibs starts talking in the third person, which is just a little weird. But I mean, hey, he is a Firebird.
That's true. Anyway, with that, San Diego's pick is in. Let's get that announced. It is the 10th pick of the 4th round, Jordan Walker, which leaves 1 pick left for Mr. Irrelevant for Tennessee. Real quick on Jordan Walker, 6'1", $180, two-way forward, right-handed shot, a winger, as Squibs mentioned, namesake of a Cardinals player. In baseball, so we'll see if he can translate that to have some success in goals here. And with 1 pick left on the clock, let's bring on CGQ to talk about making the Mr. Irrelevant trade and pick in the end, if you're around, CGQ.
Hey guys, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, no worries.
So, yeah, thanks. So we were really like this guy. You know, I'm one name. Got to go with my fellow one name here, which,
Yeah.
if I'm hopefully pronouncing it correctly, with the Mr. Irrelevant pick, the last pick of the draft, aka the most important pick of the draft, if I'm being honest with you. He's a sniper build. He's 5'11", 170 pounds, out of Zurich. We are excited to announce Coggin Max Nick as our last pick of the draft and Mr. Irrelevant. Welcome to the Smokies.
Awesome. Thanks, CGQ, for that. And yeah, you know, makes me think of, obviously Brock Purdy's big in the news right now, going to the Super Bowl as Mr. Irrelevant a couple years ago in the NFL. But I saw a video recently of his trade or draft call where the GM called and said, "We think you are very relevant, but you are going to be Mr. Irrelevant." And I thought that was a good way to put it, and very similar to what you said, a very important pick, even though it's the last one of the draft. Yeah, so that's awesome. Kojin Max Nick going to Tennessee. A little backstory on him. Been working construction since 10 years old, apparently. Been playing hockey since he was 6. And Nikita Kucherov is his idol, so hopefully he can emulate some of Kuch's play for you guys and become a staple for Tennessee.
Yeah, we're excited to see what he can do. Super excited to have him on the team, and rounds out an excellent draft class, getting everyone we wanted.
Awesome. Well, congrats on that, and yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So that does it for the draft here as far as the picks go. We'll wrap things up here in a sec, but I'll kick it over to Squibs first. Do you have any kind of closing thoughts, any shout-outs or anything you want to do before I do the whole wrap-up?
Yeah, at this point, I feel like it's probably good that you pass it to me first. Yeah, as soon as this draft's over, I'm probably going to eat a nice little protein bar, drink some water, and go to bed. Yeah, no, I appreciate everybody for their support for the league, for tuning in, of course, for getting me to drink on a Friday night when I wasn't originally planning on drinking. So yeah,
That's
cheers to
the
you guys.
power of peer pressure.
So yeah,
See the value of
nonetheless-
points?
What's that?
No, go ahead.
So yeah, to all of you out there, great job tonight. Best of luck to everybody who was drafted. To all the teams that made the draft picks, best of luck with your players now. And best of luck to Turku. You guys deserve a lot of success. Evan, you're a great hunter. So I learned a thing or two from you in my season there. But yeah, nonetheless, I'll throw it over to you guys and go off the screen myself. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Squibs. Thanks for co-hosting. Before we kick it over to Chewie for his final thoughts, I wonder if we can bring on the Commissioner Krieg, if you had anything you wanted to say before we get out of here. Krieg, you around to speak?
Yeah. What's going on, everybody?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine. It was a great draft you guys did. Chewie, good job producing it. Evan, good job keeping things together, Mr. Serious Man. Squibs, good job being drunk and being entertainment for everybody. You guys worked well together. Maybe next draft I'll be on there. Everybody does. Everybody never sees me, but we'll get me on here eventually.
Sounds good.
We did end up hitting 102 viewers. I think I saw was the max. So we finally did it, guys. Good job. So season 9 draft class so far, the best draft class for showing up. And yeah, you guys did amazing. And thank you all for showing up. And you guys have a great freaking night. It's been 3 hours and 45 minutes, and it's midnight here in the East Coast, the best coast.
All right, thank you, sir. And yeah, that's awesome, hitting that 100 viewer threshold for the first time in league history. It's been a goal since I think season 3 or 4 when we came close. But awesome. Chewie, any final thoughts before I close things out?
No final. I guess final thoughts. Yeah. Just wanted to thank everyone for watching the draft. Congratulate all the season 9 draftees. Huge congrats to Boston for winning the cup last season, pros, and Pittsburgh winning the minor league cup. And thank you, Evan, for another great season hosting the draft and all you do for the league, and to all the other commissioners as well, Doug, Krieg, and then our DPPs, Matt and Wicked, who put in a ton of work tonight as well.
Yeah, for sure. So many people put in a lot of work to make this league what it is. So hopefully I don't miss anyone, but just some huge shout outs here. Obviously to the other commissioners, like you mentioned, for all that they do behind the scenes, all the work they do to get things rolling, meeting for a few hours the other night to talk about different rule changes, suggestions, stuff like that, plus all the streaming and everything. So huge shout out to those guys. Big shout out to Chewie for hosting or producing this draft and co-hosting it with us. A lot of work goes into producing these things, and yeah, I couldn't do any of the stuff that you put together here. So great work on that. I know you had some help. I think Grimm's helped with some of it.
Yeah, Grimm's and Markkinen definitely made a lot of this draft possible.
Awesome.
So huge shout out to those two.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks to those two for the work that they put in behind the scenes. Like you mentioned, Matt and Wicked, the DPPs, doing all the, maintaining the sheets, helping with processing trades, and a bunch of other stuff. I think doing some Discord role changes and stuff already as well. Huge shout out to them. All the owners for showing up, making picks, and all the work they do throughout the season to keep their teams running, their players progressing, involved, setting lineups and stuff like that. All the GMs and stuff that help them as well, and then obviously the 71 players that heard their names called tonight. Congrats to you guys! Thank you for joining the league. Looking forward to having you guys in the league. And then just the player base in general. We're approaching 600 players, which is wild to think where we started and where we're approaching here. So thank you to everybody who makes this league what it is. We put in a lot of work behind the scenes, and it's all worth it to see this many people enjoying it and taking an active part in the league and making it as great as it can be. Yeah, if you guys have any
Discord members too.
Over 800, you said?
Over 800 Discord members.
Yeah, that's awesome. Over 800 Discord members, almost 600 active players. That's fantastic to see. So yeah, massive growth from where we were, 2 years ago when we started this up. So yeah, thank you to all of you. If you guys have any suggestions to improve the league, there's a link in the links channel to submit suggestions. The new Hall of Fame thing went up. If you have anybody to nominate for the Hall of Fame, that's in the Hall of Fame channel. Yeah, and obviously you can DM any of the commissioners, owners, DPPs, anything like that anytime if you want to talk about anything, have questions or suggestions. Feel free to reach out. I think there's something else I was going to shout out, but I'm blanking. So if I forgot anybody who puts in, obviously the stats team, rosters team, you guys keep this league running as well. Huge shout out to you guys. And then obviously one more congratulations to the Boston Buccaneers on the Gretzky Cup and the Pittsburgh Lions on the McGinley Cup championships and the great seasons we saw. And best of luck to everybody in season 9 as we get that started just around the corner. Congrats to everybody who got drafted, and thank you to everybody once more. Have a great rest of your nights, and see you guys around.
Blocked your number. It's hard to tell you no. I know you've got bad intentions. Oh, it feels so good to have attention. Yeah, no one has to know. No one has to know you're my guilty pleasure. Keep it on the low. Keep it on the low. You're my guilty pleasure. I know I'm not on my best behavior, but I stay here anyway. Oh, no one has to know. No one has to know you're my guilty You're the seduction. I finally reached a point. I'm the dysfunction. Just trying to fill a void.